Joe Rogan Podcast, check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
All right, well, boys, good to see you. What's
up?
happening?
What's up, Joe?
You have a little adventure coming over here.
We did.
Got
we
a
just
little
stopped
lost.
sweating.
The
This
Uber
one-
driver dropped you off at the wrong spot.
This one might be on me. About
Uber
halfway.
dropped us off at the completely right spot
Yeah.
in his mind.
And the amount that I cursed him because we thought it was the wrong spot. I mean,
We spent
That's
about
on me. That's on me because I should have got you guys the car service. We have the car service. It takes guys all. But I figured you guys were already here. You
What
had
was funny was
transportation.
when we were at about, I don't know, 3/4 into our 3/4 mile walk here, you sent somebody over to come get us, and he pulled up in a car, and he goes, you guys for Joe, right? And we said, yeah, and he goes, follow me, and then just drove away in the car.
No way.
He didn't let us
No way.
in.
You know what? You were too sweaty.
yeah, that's what it was.
Lewis had his shirt off still.
Like
You could
this,
see him glistening.
with you. You're like,
My
fuck
eyes were
this.
going, 'cause my hair product was in my eyes.
It's like, hey, are you guys here for Joe Rogan? He told me to bring you this heat lamp. Here, you can carry that with you.
The sauna is ready when you get
Get
there.
some pocket warmers,
Can you
guys.
guys carry these kettlebells over to the studio?
Where I was in Utah, where it was like 50 degrees, and then I came right here to Austin. It was like 98 when I got out of the car. I was like, "Yo, I forgot."
Yeah,
I forgot about
summer
this.
doesn't end in Texas.
It lasts a long time, but it does get winter here.
Eventually.
And it's hilarious.
They shut
when
it
the,
down.
The Austin people don't know what the fuck to do when it snows out.
There's no
I
infrastructure
got
at all.
stuck in Houston for maybe 4 or 5 days because they had, I mean, I want to say a light flurry, and there's a little bit of ice, but Texas doesn't have like, like
No
trucks.
plows.
No
Yeah,
salt
there's
No
trucks,
plows.
no
They
nothing.
didn't-
Salt,
when we
no-
had the big freeze the first year I moved here, they did nothing.
Yeah.
They did nothing. They just let it thaw.
Yeah.
I went one time. I was the one flight that was able to get out one time to go to Dallas for a gig, and they had like it was 3 inches of snow, but the whole place shuts down. And thank God, because the car that picked me up to drive me to the hotel that night, if there was other cars on the road, dude, it would have been ping ponging. He was just, every time he stopped the car, it would like turn sideways complete. But he was just
Slowly.
calm because there was nobody else on the road, so it didn't really matter.
Tell
We
me
were
the
just beside him.
sketchiest feeling is not when you're in like Edmonton or some shit and they have to spray that stuff on the wings. The
Oh, yeah,
de-icer
de-icer.
and the wings.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you're like, yo, like there's a real, because it's kind of a misty, freezing rain thing going on. You're like, there's a real possibility, like, fucking 1 in 1,000, 1 in 100,000 chance that those fucking things aren't going to go up because they're frozen stuck, so they have to spray it.
And what would happen if those things didn't go
You're
up?
fucked.
Is that
There's
it?
no control of the plane.
I just don't. I
I
don't want to
know.
know anything. I'm
That's-
like,
yeah.
they got to back up.
That's
for
my
that.
thing. I remember talking to, I think it was Ben Bailey years ago, and I was like, you know, it's so funny. The more I fly, the more I'm afraid of flying somehow. I go, but I have to just assume planes are designed that, like, if all fails, like they're designed to kind of be able to be glided to safety.
You
And he
should
was like,
look
no,
into
if you
that.
lose all the engines, he goes, no, if you lose all the engines, it nosedives directly to the
Well,
ground.
that's why it was such a
Yeah.
big deal, the miracle on the Hudson. It was a miracle that the guy was able to land the plane when the engines went out, right?
And
The-
that's
the
because that
geese
guy
went-
was like a real serious pilot.
Yeah.
That guy really knew how to fucking fly a
I
plane.
love the
Like, he
argument
was a
he's
real
not a hero. I love the argument that he's not. It always makes me laugh. They're like, he did his job. He goes, sure.
Well, he's
but I
Listen,
mean, like,
It
if
was
he
civil
was a
survival on his
trans
own.
woman, if he was a trans woman from a third world country, he'd be the greatest hero of all time.
I remember when it landed, I was rooting for him to be drunk. Like, I just wanted him to come out and be like, I fucking did it.
On
like,
coke.
I also wish there was like a drag queen that would do something heroic, so everyone's got to like praise the things of like, you know, like cunt lips, thunder tits. They always got stupid names.
How weird is it that it's an argument whether or not drag queens should be reading books to kids?
It's
What's the upside of that?
Yeah, like why? Whose idea was this?
Yeah,
Can we
'cause
talk to the first person who came up with this idea? Like what?
he goes, you
what
know what
is-
kids lacking these days? The most aggressive gays yelling at them.
Yeah. Well,
Sit
it's-
and listen to the story, honey.
at the very least, I've met some very nice drag queens. But at the very least, it's an odd choice that might be one that someone's out of their fucking mind chooses. It's a possibility, right? It's not zero.
Absolutely. Well, I went to one.
It's also like it's almost like we actually did a sketch. We did a thing called Legion, a sketch where we performed dirty comedy to kids in a library, and that was the whole point. Is that we were like, it's an adult job. You know what I'm saying? It's not meant for little kids. So somebody wearing makeup, and even though it's not inherently sexual what they're doing in that moment, it's like what they're their whole thing is meant for a nightclub for adults.
Well, that's why the people who defend it, they always go, I don't know, have you ever been to one? Like, it's just a guy in a dress reading a story. It doesn't have to be weird. But then you're like, you know what would be even less weird is a guy not in a dress reading a story.
Or just a teacher.
Yeah, just like whoever the person happens
So I guess
to be.
the argument for it would be this is what makes these people happy. We should normalize the fact that they want to dress up like very flamboyant women. We should normalize. That's the argument. If you wanted to
you
like,
shouldn't have porn stars reading books to kids either.
yeah, for
right,
what?
but if you wanted to take the other side's position, like what would you say? You would say, hey, this is fine to do that. It's fine to do that. But it's still a biological man who's dressed up like a woman who's reading things to kids. It's like the odds of this being 100% like really rational, fascinating person that's going to read books to your kid, or someone who's out of their fucking mind. It's not like a 0% thing. It's like something you should be kind of concerned about.
If it was a stripper reading books to a kid,
Or an ex-convict.
Yeah, you would just go like, yeah, it's just not like the whole thing that's interesting about it is you take this fish out of water, and I just don't think you should be experimenting with kids.
How about guys on parole for violent crimes? How about have them read to kids?
They give them puppies now.
How about
guys can't
corrupt politicians? Have them read to kids.
That
How
one,
about-
I object to the most.
How about CEOs have been arrested for embezzlement? How about them reading to kids? How about all kinds
kids
of like
laughing while a
maybe
guy
cool,
can't read to them.
maybe cool, but maybe super fucking sketchy people reading stories to kids? You know, there's a lot. We could go with a lot of them.
It's reading time with Deshaun.
I don't know, dude. I was
Mary.
People convicted of violent assault, but they wouldn't do it again. It was a bad move. Have them read to kids.
I was on one of those apps to hire a babysitter recently, and it's a very weird thing. I'd never done it before, and it's almost like a dating app. Like you're like swiping left and right, but it's on for babysitters for your kids. And I will say, and I'm on the Legion of Skanks. I'm a comedian. I hang out in a pretty seedy world, but it is amazing how judgmental you get when you're just judging a person off their face over whether they're going to watch your kids. You're just like, nose ring, out of here, freak.
You'll never be more racist.
Tattoos on the face is a no-go.
Yeah,
it's not like being an MMA fighter.
Yeah, it's like you might be cool, you might be a cool person, but
Sugar Sean O'Malley can pull it off, Post Malone can pull it off, but not the fucking babysitter.
I'm considering getting a tattoo on my face at Skankfest.
Like, how about
Yeah.
if there was?
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
the one we said.
How about if there was guys with tattoos on their faces that wanted to read stories to kids? Would that be cool? Who would be cool with that?
I would
Guys
be
with
weirded
tattoo. If it was Post Malone, you'd be like, of course, he's so cool. Let him read the stories to kids. That'd be really fun. They'd
But would
probably
you be
enjoy it.
weirded out if your kids had like a face tattoo teacher at all?
Yeah, I'd be weirded out.
I would not like that.
Listen, like Jelly Roll is the coolest motherfucker alive. He's got face tattoos. There's a lot of people that do them and wish they didn't do them, or do them and are happy with them and like them. It's cool.
No, I'm not saying
but
you shouldn't-
the possibility of you being out of your fucking mind is in there.
No, absolutely. But I just mean also
hard
just
to
for the
argue.
idea that like I'm not like even like I said Post. I don't think a teacher with face tattoos might be the best teacher like in the world. I just think it's like as a parent you'd walk in and be like, "Who's this motherfucker's deal?"
It's possible that they could be.
They
though.
might be the
They have
best
to be
teacher
so good
in history.
spite of it.
Yeah.
They have to
Yeah.
go so far above and beyond.
Right.
If
right.
someone
right.
with a face tattoo is an excellent teacher, then let them teach inmates. But stay away from my children. I don't have time for this.
Isn't it funny we have no problem with sleeves? Listen, when you talk about fitness, you're probably thinking about the gym, like lifting, running, training, you know, but your gut health is just as important. So just like I keep up on my workout routine and training habits, AG1 is an amazing addition to my routine. AG1 not only contains your daily vitamins and minerals, but it also includes pre- and probiotics and other gut-benefiting ingredients, so your hard work in the gym pays off. Bloating and gas are signs your gut needs support, and AG1 can help. AG1 is not your average supplement. It's a comprehensive blend of essential vitamins and minerals carefully crafted to elevate your baseline health, and that's why I've partnered with them for so long. Seriously, I trust these guys to get it right with their research, science, and my health in mind. So try AG1 and get a free bottle of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase at drinkag1.com/Joe Rogan. That's a $48 value for free when you go to drinkag1.com/Joe Rogan. Check it out. Like if my kid's teacher had a sleeve, I'd be like, oh, the teacher's
But I
cool.
think 30 years ago, they probably did. If you
Absolutely.
showed up as
Yeah,
a teacher
yeah.
30 years ago, people are like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Okay,
Oh,
Biker
yeah.
Bob, get
now
the
it
fuck
is
out
a
of my
sign of
classroom.
cool. If you see someone with like a button-down shirt and like this part of the arm you see is completely done. You're like, all right,
Yeah.
quiet, cool
But still,
guy.
I think there's probably conservative America would still feel like a little weird about somebody with a sleeve teaching
Well,
their little girl
as-
in kindergarten.
As a representative of conservative America here, I will say I was at my daughter's T-ball game, and there was one of the moms pregnant, and one of her kids is in the T-ball game, and she's in shorts and just has 2 leg sleeve tattoos. Now, no judgment. It was fine, but there was something where I was like, it's just a little odd.
Let's
like,
go,
that's our
champ.
generation.
I'm judging
Let's
the town
go,
for letting,
champ.
I'm judging the town for letting the girl play t-ball.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It is. It's
I'm
dangerous.
judging you for coming out as conservative.
I now, Joe. This is my new grift. I am now Mr. Conservative. We got to get
You've
Trump elected.
given up on this libertarian stuff.
There's no money in it. I figured out.
There's definitely no money in it, but that's why they let it exist.
Just 'cause there's no
You know,
money.
if there was another legitimate party that was actually challenging to the Democrats and the Republicans, they would attack it. They don't say a peep about the Libertarians. Those are, in their eyes, the Libertarians are just vote stealers from the Republicans.
Yeah, they were mad when Trump came this year, but aside from that, they don't see us as a threat.
Yeah, they don't. No political party gets mad at the Libertarians. They're
Oh, but it
fucking
was-
furious at the Republicans. The Republicans are furious at the Democrats. Nobody gives a fuck what the Libertarians say.
Dave,
Including me, I agree.
Man.
Speaking at the thing
Oh.
was the funniest when he goes, Donald Trump's going to come up here, and we're going to show him that we know how to act and behave, and because we are the right party. And he went up there right away, and they were like,
Fuck you, you fucking pussy. Get out of here.
Well, I knew. I literally.
rapist.
I got off stage and I passed by Angela McArdle, who's the chair of the Libertarian Party, and I walked right by her and I went, 0% chance they listen. Just went by her. Go, now let's go watch the shit show because this is going to be
So
ridiculous.
how much of a shit show was it?
I was awful. I mean, just the worst.
I only watched like a little bit of it.
So I went. They kicked me out of backstage because it's like a Secret Service like checkpoint thing or whatever. Because they're real on top of that. Not so big on people with rifles on buildings, but they got me out of there. And so I go out and I come back around in the main room and I walk into the middle of just all the people like, and one of them, at one point, Trump goes, I fired Comey. And one of the Libertarians goes, because he was on to you. And I just turned to him and I went, that's not even the right heckle. And then the guy goes, oh, what's the right heckle? I was like, I can't give it to you right now.
Well, the Comey,
It was a wild scene.
The Comey thing was what would they were alleging, first of all, that the Clinton campaign was spying on the Trump campaign, right?
Yeah, it was after that. He was trying to blackmail him. And fucking Trump caught on to that. So
Really?
he fired him. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Are you? How do you know?
So, okay. So if you, here we go, guys.
Here we
All
go.
right. So you know how like well
You know,
how-
we all occurred about this yesterday. When he came in and he goes, P. Diddy definitely fucked everybody and did this and raped everyone. And then we're like, well, how do you know? He's like, ugh, I read. It's not really, it doesn't really mean anything. You're always reading somebody
You
else's
read that in a
numbers.
book?
So what is?
But that's what you can do in comedy. Is that is enough to checkmate most comedians?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
because
yeah.
I read and you go,
You're
he
not
does
wrong.
read. All right.
Yeah. Well, it's just a funny thing to say because you could also be like admitting the ridiculousness of it yourself while
yeah.
saying I read. You know, because it's kind of an admission. Like I'm not there. I didn't go to the
Who's
freak
there?
off.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
want
know
to hear
what the
somebody
fuck
came and goes, I
happened.
went to one of these parties, and man, P. Diddy was like, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go fuck Meek Mill in the butt. But like, that's never going to happen. No one comes out and says
So
that.
if you're looking at that, what makes you conclude that he definitely was doing that?
Because he basically the first time they ever met, he presented him with the Steele dossier, which had all of the like dirt.
That's the pee-pee stuff, right?
Yeah, all the pee-pee shit in it. Or I shouldn't say shit. There was no shit alleged, just piss.
Russian piss.
Yes, alleged Russian piss. Yes, that's the aspect
Is
Jay
that what
wants to
collusion?
make sure.
Is that what collusion means?
Something like that. And then
They
and
just play so dirty. They play dirty like a movie.
it's pretty crazy. Yeah,
It's really wild.
I don't
man.
know. I mean, did you
Because
see?
that was the number one fear of having these big agencies have so much power, is that they would never want to relinquish it. They would never want to say, like, hey, look, we're patriots. I think we should follow by the rule of the Constitution and let the people decide. And like, it's like everything else, man. Once you start running shit, you don't want to stop.
Hell, I've seen friends of mine have way less power go to their head.
It's weird, right?
I wouldn't trust these two with power.
Damn
But
right.
it is a weird thing to watch, right?
Yes, it's bizarre.
Yeah.
That's human beings, though, man.
Now imagine that, but with no showbiz. No showbiz. So you get in that rush, but now the rush is controlling the world.
Well, isn't that?
Yeah, it's like
kinda-
the way we feel about like crushing on stage is the way
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton feels about crushing Libya.
But isn't
Yeah,
that what?
we
that was-
came, we saw, he died.
Wasn't
I
that L.
fucking
Ron-
crushed.
Wasn't that L. Ron Hubbard though? L. Ron Hubbard was like, "Hey, this will be funny. I'll start this and go into this, start a religion." And then like years later, he said when his friends he told that to hit him up like, "This is crazy, dude. You did it." He's like, "You know, you ran that scam," and he's like, "Scam? You better get your thetan levels checked if you're gonna say it's just like he just started eating his own shit because like
Well, he was. Do you know that he's the most prolific writer in human history?
sci-fi was
More fiction
yeah.
than any other human being ever.
More than Stephen King.
More than anybody.
And one
Dude,
Bible.
more than anybody. And not a second draft amongst them. Everything he wrote was nonsense. Everything he wrote was hot nonsense. If you read it, it's like these are the dumbest stories.
Well, do you remember the Dianetics commercials? Do you remember the commercials with the the volcano, like the lava was going off, and it
Yeah.
just gave you like the most generalized things anyone feels. He goes, "Are you sometimes tired and sometimes awake?" Like
You
nothing
did it-
was just like vague. It was
You
so,
did it
so
before,
vague.
right, Lewis? When they
in
had
Times
the test
Square,
in
they
Times
used to
Square,
have
I've done
people
it.
because it was just kind of cool. I was like a dumb kid, so they're like, "Hey, do you want us to test your stress levels?" I was like, "Boy, do I!" And I went over and I held these dumb things, and
Is
they're like, "Yep,
the
you're-"
ones that go like that.
yeah, they're like, "You're stressed," and I was like, "I am, right?" They're like, "Come on inside." They brought me into this weird thing. They tried to sell me a book. I don't really remember.
I did that too, and I did that in San Diego. I was down there filming something, and we were in the park, and it was like at a time where a lot of people didn't know who I am, and I could sneak in. And I sat down at this guy's table, and he gave me the e-meter, and I put my hands in the things, and he told me what it was reading. I'm like, how does this thing function? Like, what is it? What is it reading off my body? And the dude was like, oh, I don't want to explain it. He didn't want to really be there. He's just a member who got roped into doing this thing. He had zero enthusiasm about the
yeah,
sale.
they're like they have the street team job for.
It's the lowest level.
It's the lowest level
Oh.
job you could have for is having to go out and bark people into your church.
Have you guys read Lawrence Wright's book about it?
I don't think so.
It's called Going Clear.
Oh, I saw the
Documentary, the
yeah.
HBO thing. Yeah, the book is the documentary basically tells you all you need to hear. But
Thank God.
It's so it's such a strange religion. But here's the thing about it, man. This is what's weird about religions. This is my, I'm a moron, but I occasionally have these moments where I'm like, I think I know what the fuck is going on. If you really believe it, it benefits your life. Even if it's hot nonsense, even if it's a 14-year-old kid who finds golden tablets that contain the lost work of Jesus and only he can read it because he has a magic rock.
Yeah.
But if you get enough of those people, they make great neighbors. Like it fucking
I'll tell you
works,
though,
man.
they just
Like,
want their kids
is
to go
it
to
better?
school.
But here's my question: is it better to be an atheist and to be this person who just like objectively looks at the world and like none of this makes sense? There's no way there could be a God. I think when you die, and that guy's fucking miserable. That guy's taking medication, and all of his friends think he's annoying.
I mean,
I think
I'm a
believing-
devout atheist, and you're right about all that. You believe like in a higher power?
No, I don't not believe. I believe
That's what my girlfriend says when I ask her.
I believe there's more to the universe and more to life than we can think of through our narrow field of perception. That's what I think. I think there's more to human contact and interaction than just people talking to each other. I think there's a thinly veiled reality that we live in where we express our souls to each other. That's what I think. And I think it's a very complicated and confusing thing that's fucked up by lies and deception and violence and war.
Well, so many
and
of
it's
them, I think-
enhanced by friendship and love and communication. And it's weird. There's a thing going on that's beyond just like you're born and you die. And if that thing keeps going when the physical body stops existing, I wouldn't be surprised.
I think religion is always the funniest to dial back to, though, because all the organized stuff. You were doing the Joe Smith story, finds the tablets or the plates,
Right.
and everything. Could that be more of a religion that was like a pitched by a dude to a bunch of dudes.
Well, this
Guys,
is a
turns out
kid.
we could have a whole bunch of chicks, and they all just have to live next to each other. And you fuck one
Well, it
this
was like,
night, and
wasn't
then
it
the
like
other
they
night.
were like it was like racist up until like 30 years ago. They were like black people were like the seed of the devil or whatever, and then they changed it. They're like, no,
Did
they're
they?
cool now.
You
Did
can't
they
be
really?
racist when your women are bearded. You ever
Yeah.
see Sister Wives? It's not like you're stoked to have 3 of them.
Yeah, but dude, two 4s is an 8.
When
so.
you know the guy who wrote it, that's when shit gets sketchy.
Yeah, there is something about like when it's from thousands of years
too
ago.
recent, yeah.
It's easy to go like, look, there was a burning bush and
Yeah.
God spoke to this guy, and you're like, when? Like 5,000 years ago. You're like, all right, fine. But when you're just like 3 Wednesdays ago, it happened. You're like,
That's
I'm
yeah.
not buying that.
There's enough stories that are similar about the ancient stories of like apocalypses, like the stuff about like the Epic of Gilgamesh is real similar to Noah and the Ark. There's enough of those
Yeah,
stories.
like Jesus was like they keep on just redescribing him from like thousands of years before Jesus was around. That story of him being the son of God and all
The
that other
Virgin
stuff.
Mother.
Yeah.
He's a
bunch
black
of them,
woman
yeah.
now.
Jesus is trans.
Jesus is a
could have
black
been,
woman.
He could have been an alien.
Jesus?
Yeah.
Sure.
Like,
That's the most
like,
Joe
this is
Rogan
not
sentence I've
saying
ever
that-
heard.
It could have
Jesus
been.
could have been an alien.
If there was like
Get that merch printed.
someone who came here and didn't make any sense that he was born and he just existed but knew everything and was the son of God and was trying to straighten everybody out, and then they kill him. And he's like, all right, we tried. It literally could be an alien. I mean, if you're thinking about how long ago this is thousands of years of people telling a story, right? I mean, how long after Jesus is dead before they even write the new stuff?
Well, why does no one
Right?
consider
It was
that,
like
that long ago
hundreds
people were,
of years
wrote
after
fiction?
his death, right? Or at least
Yeah.
100 years after his death?
Well, it's
But you know what I'm saying? Like also years ago, like no one considers the idea of works of fiction.
Right.
Like everything then was just written from the thing versus
But it's
someone making
also-
entertainment.
There's a combination of that and then real events they're trying to document. So both things are true because they had a lot of shit going on back then. Like they didn't have to write fiction. They were getting killed by swords. People getting lit on fire and shot with arrows. Like there's not a time to be making shit up.
yeah, it's like what happened to your brother, and it's like I don't know, a beast got a hold of
Yeah,
him.
but
and
it
Yeah,
can't
you
be
don't
all.
wanna
It
have-
can't be all Coliseuming. Once
Yeah,
in a
but
while, you got to wind back, and there's no
You're not
video
gonna
games.
listen. That's life. Then though, you're not gonna write Harry Potter when you're getting slayed by the Romans.
That's why you're fighting a line. He goes, "I got the good idea. You're something with like I don't know a magical school."
The dude can walk on water. He walked on fucking water.
And then he put a guy's ear back on.
Water into wine. Come on, who's not happy with that idea?
A lot of those miracles. I am studying magic right now for my magic show at Skankfest, and I'm reading a book about magic. But a lot of those miracles that they talk about, it's theorized that they were just like magicians that were like doing tricks for people, and they would get like.
By the way, Jesus Christ would be a great name for a magician if there was no Jesus Christ. It's got a Chris
Oh, it's
Angel
a
ring
great
to
name.
it.
Yeah, Jesus Christ would be
Come
amazing.
see Jesus Christ live at the Rio.
Yeah, because it's got like a little bit of a Latin flair, because you know you could say it like Jesus. Mexicans are the only people that I know of, or I guess Spanish people as well, where the name Jesus, it's literally Jesus. You could name your kid Jesus. Like how many Muslim kids are named Muhammad? A lot. It was like the #1 name for boys in Ireland like a couple of years ago.
Muhammad?
But yeah, Muhammad. It freaked people out. They're like, what? But you can't name your son, your American son, Jesus.
It's going to raise a few eyebrows if you bring baby Jesus to the daycare.
But isn't that crazy?
I know you legally can't name your child Jesus Christ.
Oh, is that true?
That's legally you can't. I swear to God, that's
Do
a
you
real
think the
thing.
pendulum's going to swing back to like there was a time?
Naming kids Jesus?
No, but naming kids like when there was no actual like lines drawn on naming years and years ago as far as like race goes. So my grandmother's boyfriend when she died, still name was Jerome.
Look at this.
There's old Tyrone, like white Tyrones.
Wait, dude,
that
that's
just stopped one day and those became black names.
These are
That's
all
wild.
names that are
Illegal.
ruled illegal by courts within the U.S.
Yep.
So Bobby Green just got his name changed to King. He
Well,
got his name legally
Green.
changed to King Green.
yeah, he's going to have to take this to the Supreme Court.
Maybe not, because it said, go back to that, please. But the states, but before that, it was like showing how many states. Does it say that?
Why can't it be 1069?
So it's not so it was just the way it was phrased in the earlier thing that you had. Okay, here it is. There's a handful of names that were ruled illegal by courts within the U.S.
Within.
So that could be local courts.
So in some
Right.
areas, it's illegal to have these names. Not all areas.
But hell, imagine you can't even call your kid Santa Claus. How about Majesty?
Imagine you can't call your kid Adolf Hitler.
I'm gonna name my kid Roman numeral 2.
You could only call your kid Majesty if you are an R&B singer.
Oh, those are the best. There's so many rapper kids. There's so many rapper kids, like kids you ever name like Prince.
Yeah,
all
that's
those
fine.
things.
But
Prince
is
is
it just
fine.
that spelling though? Could I name my kid Messiah with like an apostrophe in the middle?
Right, I
course.
bet you could. Yeah,
Yeah.
I bet you change the spelling.
There you go. And
Yeah.
Messiah
Go
needs
back
an
to that
apostrophe.
again. Let me see the list. What is the third? You
Just
can't
Roman
be the
numeral
third.
3.
You can't be the Roman numeral 3. That
No.
can't be your name. Does that come up a lot? Or they had to make it illegal?
Voss
Imagine
was
all
gonna-
the
Voss
shit
was
that's
gonna name his kid
legal.
after his third album.
They'll let you in the border, but whatever you do, don't use that
Numbers.
3 thing. That Roman 3. That's fucked up, dude. You can't call your baby Roman number 3.
But like 2 and 4 are okay?
Okay, in North Dakota man named Michael Herbert Dangler, who was adopted, wanted to change his name to these 4 numbers, which held philosophical and personal significance for him. State court rejected his name change request in 1976,
They're like,
saying
"Beat it, Dangler."
numbers can't be used, can't be names due to potential confusion.
But isn't Elon Musk's kid's name like
X.
the sounds AOL used to make?
Well, he calls his son X, but it's like a bunch of other letters too.
Yeah.
Bro, imagine if you were that guy's son, but you were a moron.
That would suck.
Oh, that's
God,
fine.
that would
I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger had a son that was a schlub, and then the one he didn't know he had looked just like him and was shredded and
all
working out
jacked.
constantly. Yeah, it's hilarious.
I think the other son's Jack too now.
Oh, is he? He had to catch up
Yeah.
then because he was a schlubby kid.
Sometimes you just, fuck dad. I don't even want to lift weights.
Yeah.
If you're Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yeah.
you're so, like you have so much privilege. Like I would just never want to lift weights at that point. I can never imagine like building the foundation as like a young Schwarzenegger to be like, I'm just going to work really hard now at something.
Right, because you were born inside that house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Like
the answer
Kennedy,
is
you're
like
Kennedy, you're half Kennedy, half Schwarzenegger. That's crazy.
Tom Hanks has a son that became another Tom, like Hanks person, tucking in his polo shirts on a Sunday, and then one went full wigger. So it's like,
There's like a thing about the way you name your kid that someone brought up the other day. Fuck, I wish I remember who was saying this. But there's like an actual principle to it, and I think it's based on Chet Hanks.
no, yeah.
It's like calling him Chet just sets him up to be a
Oh, it's
Chet.
like, yeah, you've never met awesome Chaz. Chaz Palminteri is the exception to the rule. That's not what you picture when you picture a Chaz.
Well, isn't Chaz Palmer, is that his full name? Is that how you say it, or is it a shortened version?
It's probably Charles, my guess would be.
There's certain like
Yeah.
names that are like associated. Like I have an ex-girlfriend. I won't even say her name. This is how crazy she is. Like every girl I've ever met with this name is a crazy bitch, but she's so crazy that I refuse to say her name out loud.
Wow,
I'm not
it's like
summoning that.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah, dude. I won't
I
say.
saw Beetlejuice last night.
How was it?
It's fucking great.
Yeah?
It's
Oh,
yeah?
fun as shit, man.
Enough
it's fun as
nostalgia
shit.
and-
I heard the reviews are not good.
That's probably why you
I'm like
like
that.
I heard the
That's so
reviews were all right. I
crazy.
heard The Crow was
I
terrible.
didn't hear about the reviews until after I saw it, though. I didn't know anything about it. I just went in cold. It was great.
That was like the female Ghostbusters. Everyone hated it so much that I watched it on a flight. I was like, it wasn't that bad. It's kind of
But
fun.
Beetlejuice is better than that. Beetlejuice is really good.
The female
It's
Ghostbusters
It's
was
fucking
terrible.
great, man. It's like on par with the original movie. It's Tim Burton at his best. It's really good, man. I fucking enjoyed the shit out of it. When I heard that people didn't like it, I was like, really?
Well, I believe all the bullshit I read right away where they're like, Michael Keaton's only in it for 10 minutes.
Well, that was
No,
the
that's
point.
not true.
I know.
So they wanted to make sure that he wasn't in it anymore because in the first movie he was only in it for 13 minutes a total, right?
Yeah.
So they were like they didn't want to change that element, so they purposely made it so he was in it for around the same amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, all that fucking number stock is nonsense. It's the movie's fun. Like, you don't give a shit if he's in there. Winona Ryder's great. Everybody's great. It's a fucking fun movie, man. And it's Tim Burton, like, at his weird best. It's very weird.
No
Winona
Alec
Ryder's a
Baldwin.
wild
No one
one,
trusted
dude.
Alec
I
Baldwin on
remember
set anymore.
I met Winona Ryder on the streets in New York City when I was selling comedy club tickets right after she got arrested for shoplifting.
Shoplifting?
Yeah.
That was like the most bizarre thing ever. She was like,
Because you could have got her.
I maybe.
You're like, oh my god, she has the same likes as me.
What she was in like
I can afford to buy you makeup, you crazy bitch.
but it's just genuinely like craziness, right? Because she's rich. She was a movie star at that time. she didn't need the
She
money.
got the itch,
I
dude. She
think
needs
it was
that-
a thrill
Yeah.
thing. I think it's for a lot of people. It's a thrill thing.
What's the last thing you stole, Joe?
I stole a candy bar when I was 13, and I got
That's the
caught.
last thing?
Yeah, I got caught. I was it felt so embarrassing.
What, like a security guard?
Yeah,
Oh.
security guard pulled me into a back room, and I was terrified. And I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just doing it because I thought I could get away with it. You know, we were fucking young kids walking around.
My,
you know?
that's really the thing is what's the worst thing you got caught stealing? Mine was stuffing porn magazines down the front of my pants and putting my shirt over it. And I mean, the guy at the
Oh my
farm-
God!
the-
Try reselling that
The
now.
guy at the drugstore was baiting me to do it. Like he couldn't
He
wait.
was baiting you?
Oh my God.
Like he
not
was
bait-
leaving porn out?
No. The porn section was in
He
this magazine.
baited
He was. Yeah,
He
baited me.
tricked him.
I just think
He tricked him.
I picture
No,
just
no,
like
he
a
didn't trick me.
porno,
He just- I
a
think
porno mag, and
he
then he's
used
got
a
like a
lure.
fishing rod. He's like, I'm gonna catch this
It was
little
entrapment.
kid.
Yeah, no, baiting is the wrong word for him. Say he knew I was getting ready to. Like, he felt that I was waiting
He could
to
have
find
stopped
my
you
moment
before you did the
He could
crime.
have stopped me before I did.
Yeah.
Or said, "Hey, you can't be in here unless you're going to blah blah blah." I kind of made notice. He laid back, and I was kind of like, "He knows." I'm like, "I guess not. He's just sitting there." And then I did, and then an old man spinning you around and lifting your shirt to show the half of porn magazine sticking up.
How old were
Just
you?
ran like 12 maybe. I ran so fast. I just ran.
12-year-old boys should not be left alone.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
just
I
for
went
their
to-
own devices.
I used to
they're
rob
dangerous.
cars when I was 12 years old. Me and my friends would break into cars in the ShopRite parking lot and just clear out all the change in the center console.
All it
That's-
takes is one bad kid in the neighborhood that's fun.
My biggest steal wasn't even like
Yep.
for money or anything. I was staying at my grandmother's friend's house, my Aunt Anita and Uncle Herb. And Uncle Herb had a nice stack of like porn magazines that I found.
There's a pattern.
There's a pattern. No, this is funny. Well, this is one I thought I'd get away with for no reason. I took a few.
I
a
just
bunch.
I think every one of these stories is going to end with Jay being spun around and his shirt lifted up, like
Sort
Uncle
of.
Herb gets in
This
there.
is proverbially that because I took a few of his giant stack, being like, he'll never miss these, and if he does, he's not going to think it was me, and if he does think it's me, we're going to have this quiet code of like, what are you going to tell my mom? I took your. It's like so many people have to find out about your porn magazines now. That's exactly what he did. He didn't give a shit. He was like, I want my porn magazines back. And then went down the channels from my grandmom to my mom. And I was like, ha, oh, did I grab these? Oh, shit.
That's hilarious.
Oh, dude, that's such an embarrassing to get a phone call. He goes, your Uncle Herb wants his...
Dude, pre-internet porn was like gold. When you're a kid at that age, were you? Because we had a magazine that we found in the woods, and another kid stole it from us, and it was a thing.
Every kid found dirty
woods
magazines
one,
in the
yeah.
woods.
Yeah, of course.
He just hoped that it was wet for the right reasons.
They're always damp.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I had that one at home for a little while, and I used to live in a shitty apartment, so I had like a drop ceiling, so I used to keep it inside of my ceiling to hide it from my mom, and it was like literally covered in mud and water.
Did you guys see that shit that was going down in Philadelphia yesterday? Where one of those street takeovers?
I saw a video,
and the cop,
but I don't know
cop
what it is.
car drives towards it and hits his lights and thinks he's going to get them to scatter, and they just jump all over the car.
I didn't see that video.
It's
I saw
crazy.
a couple of them. Ugh.
It's crazy.
And what is it they're doing?
Check this out. Look, so the cop, they've got a street takeover, so they just decided to stand in the middle of the street and block traffic.
Oh, is it a protest?
No, I don't know what they're doing. I think they're just getting crazy. I don't know if they're protesting anything. I think they're just a group of kids just decided to get crazy. This is a United States of America. this is like one of the. If you saw that this was happening in Ecuador, you'd be like, "Yo, Ecuador's out of control," right? But no, this is the United States of America in Philadelphia. Watch it happen to this cop car.
Wait, what was the first? Go back a little bit. What was the person who spun out with like a person hanging off the car?
They're going crazy. It's a street takeover. They're doing that with their cars. That's what they're doing. So they block traffic and then they spin around in circles in their cars and they organize it. So this cop tries to break it up and they just fuck this cop's car up, dude. Hundreds of kids.
Fuck.
And no one's in control of them.
Go Birds.
I mean, if you are in that situation and you're parked in your car in like traffic because there's like
If
fucking
I'm a cop,
No, but what if you're not a cop?
If I'm
What
a
if you're
cop,
you
I'm
right
just starting
now?
to blast everybody for the
You
windshield.
can't shoot enough people. There's there's
It is-
hundreds of people.
it is so
They'll get
funny.
you and they'll kill you.
Yeah,
I can
learn-
get 16 of them.
No,
You might be able to
see-
get 3 of them.
The first time seeing someone with
like John
authority.
Wick, dude, just headshots.
Bro, it'd be such a wild panic knowing you only have 12 bullets.
but the
was
first
Oh my
time,
God! Well, the last one's for yourself. You can't
Yeah.
let them have you.
the
Oh
first
my
time you
God.
see like someone with authority in your life or something, have to realize like a can't win situation is awkward. Do you know what I mean? Like seeing a
Yeah.
cop have to like kind of surrender or have to give up. My step pop when we were younger, we were driving back. My step pop was like a power lifter always, like a tough guy to me. I always thought. And we were driving back from the Philadelphia Zoo one day through Fairmount Park, and they had shut it down for what's called the Greek Picnic, which is all the black fraternities like party in this big giant park. And the traffic.
I love the old Greek guy that shows up for it.
Oh, it's a
going
Greek
to-
barbecue.
Jamie, put that video back up.
But they,
Yeah.
these guys were coming, and they were just walking all through the street, all these like black frat dudes, and like it was a traffic jam because they're in the middle of the street, and sitting like on the hood of our car and stuff like that.
Oh, no.
And my
Oh.
step pop just being like, I just see him just kind of sitting there, kind of eating it, and like realizing that I was like, Joe, it was almost like that. Joe, why aren't you gonna? You know what? You're right. Like this is just
That's
an
one of my
unwinnable
biggest
thing.
fears, that I'm going to be with my son and I'm going to get chumped out by tougher men than me. It's the most
worst.
horrifying thing in the world, dude.
Look at this video and imagine if you're a person that just was going to see your aunt, got in your car, you got stuck behind
Jesus.
this. You had no idea you're going to be trapped in this kind of traffic, and they're just going to block off the street for who knows how long.
I just have to join him. Just start doing fucking donuts.
Also, that people. I mean, Jesus Christ.
That's my car on
The
fire.
likelihood of one of these kids getting run over is very high.
It happens all the time.
All the time.
Does
they
it?
get hit by cars all the time. They go flying through the air. It's like a dumb thing
Are these
that they
stolen
do.
cars?
Yeah, they're stolen cars. But these guys get so close to each other, they hit each other all the time. All the time. People go flying through the air.
I will say-
Boom!
If you're a teenager, it does look like it's a lot of fun.
Oh, look, man, if you don't have a dad and your mom's a cunt and she does meth, yeah, I'd be there too.
It's a nice cut loose.
Dude, being in the middle right
would
there,
be there,
dude.
too.
Imagine being in the middle right there. You'd feel like a king.
Yeah,
I
if
was
your
so-
dad beats you, if your dad's an alcoholic who just beats the shit out of you and the only love you get is from your friends on the streets,
I was
I'd
telling-
be doing that too.
I was telling these guys yesterday. I saw a video where it's a guy. To the people filming anything now, it's a guy in Times Square who films himself going up and just robbing a guy, like just talk. He just goes, "Hey man, come here, come here." He goes, "You're doing a new documentary called I Just Got Robbed." And he's like, "What?" He goes, "I'm gonna need your wallet. Don't run. Don't be weird." He's just like intimidate, and the
The guy's name is Rob. He's clever.
The kid's so happy that he's not getting beat up and just nervous, and happy he's not getting beat up. Like he pleasantly like gives him everything, and it's kind of like, now go over there. He's like, all right, man, be easy, man, be easy. And the guy's like, all right, man, cool. And like he just gives him his stuff and walks away. It's
He
such
gives him his stuff back?
no.
No,
He
he- so
robs
he
him.
does
and
take-
takes
he
him
just
on his
robs
phone.
him on camera. Does it on
calmly robs
YouTube.
them. Yeah.
It's pretty nuts.
Is it even illegal, though?
Are you
If
sure?
I just
But
go
you
up
sure
to
it's real?
It seems very, very real.
Are you sure that he doesn't give it back to him after they stop filming, so
Doesn't
that
appear-
it's not a crime and it's
Doesn't
just a stunt?
No, I think this happens all the time. People get arrested actually for it. I mean,
Really? You know how crazy you are.
there's people who
There's
film
one-
some
there's
guy
one story,
like
there was
holding their
a-
guns and saying, "I'm about to go kill so and so."
This happens all the time in New York. Like this happened to like a former Miss New York. She was in the park, and these two young, like maybe Puerto Rican kids or black kids, they come up and like, hey, we're trying to sell candy for our basketball team. That old scam. And then she was like, I don't have any cash. They were like, oh, you could send us a Zelle. And she was like, sure. And then they got her to give them their phone, and then they just sent themselves $2,000 on her Zelle and handed her phone back and just ran away. And they just couldn't get the money back.
Oh my
Oh,
god!
Jesus.
Yeah.
I stopped paying attention when you said they may have been black or Puerto Rican, and you said selling candy for their football team or whatever. I'm like, it definitely was black or Puerto Rican.
Well, no. I know. I wasn't sure if they were black
Never
or
had a
Puerto
white
Rican.
kid try to run the old buy some M&Ms from me scam.
You gotta have laws, kids. Or it's dangerous out there. You leave people to their own devices, and you get that shit. You get people going wild in the streets.
Dude, it's
very scary.
Thank
to see
God
that.
we
It's
all
very, very
survived being that age, because you're just so stupid, and yet you're in the body of kind of a grown-up,
Yeah.
and you just have like all this, just testosterone and fucking being young and not knowing. Like I could so easily, if I lived
I
in
was
Philly,
a
have been at
handful
one
of
of those
decisions
things.
away from being at one of those things when I was a kid.
But does the guy, the idiot who keeps jumping over the car and lighting the fire in the middle, is he look back like, is he 55 one day going like, oh yeah, I was a little
Do you think he lives to be
Rapscallion.
55?
No, probably not. He probably dies under a donut of a fucking souped-up SUV.
There's a high likelihood that young man's involved in other questionable activities. Yeah.
No, maybe, but I'm saying, but there's just those guys, like, I don't know how you, like, grow up out of that that's going to be something that really nails it.
I mean, my childhood wasn't
Outside of entertainment.
crazy far from that. I mean, it wasn't. I just wasn't with that crew, but I was doing pretty like rancid shit. I was stealing and
You guys, you guys just couldn't afford to pull that off. You would have.
Well, it
should've
wasn't
been
a
doing that.
thing. It wasn't a thing back then. Like, that's only been a thing for the last, like, how many years, Jamie? As the street takeovers?
Yeah, with the internet.
To make internet
with,
videos, yeah.
15, 20, I don't know. Honestly, maybe.
Never. When I was a kid, there was none of that. No one ever blocked the street and did donuts.
Yeah.
You did donuts in the school parking lot if you knew where the cops were.
They would drag race, though, in Philly. They would, like, block off streets and, like, drag race illegally until they
Yeah,
broke
that's
them up and
true.
shit.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Did you find Jamie the guy robbing?
No, I checked a couple places. I didn't really
1980s.
find it.
Look at that.
Instagram, actually.
Yeah, right.
Sideshows. They call them sideshows?
Yeah, that's how I saw it first. It's a thing from the Bay Area.
So they first occurred from the streets of Oakland during the mid 1980s, back in the olden days.
Yeah, it does
before
seem like
anybody
a
knew
very
anything.
Asian-y activity.
Yeah, I think them stealing the cars is probably more of a newer thing. I think back in the day they were just like it was like a car show essentially.
Right. They were showing off their cars.
Yeah, in the 70s and 80s they'd have the ones with the hydraulics and shit.
Yeah.
That would happen.
Oh, it comes from a Bay Area rapper, Richie Rich's sideshow. Down Bancroft to the light, let me warm it up. I hit a donut tight. Rap sucks. I hit a donut tight. Chevy on my side, window straight tinted. He got hype when he saw me spinning. Who likes this?
I do. I like a lot of it. It's fun.
What, rap?
Some rap is fun.
I know. I love tons of rap. That's whatever
Just
that
not
was terrible.
Well, also, you didn't really sell it. Like, if I was at an audition, I'd be like, Big J, next time, I want you to be in the moment. You're rapping about these things. You really feel this. You feel very strongly about these issues.
trying to
about
lure Lewis into a false sense of hope.
sideshows.
We have to rap battle this Friday at
Oh, yeah.
Skagfest.
I hate it.
Oh.
Try to
I
lure him
hate
into a
this.
false sense of
Oh,
hope.
I see what you're doing.
Although I have a feeling it's going to be better than what I did, but if we find the song Sideways or whatever, I bet that guy doesn't kill it. It's all that, because that has to come from the era. Well, it's the 90s, I guess, so it might not be mumble rap.
Right. Some of the fucking 90s stuff still holds up, man.
Oh yeah.
Most of it does.
Yeah. You know what I listened to the other day? Tim Dog.
Yeah.
Tim Dog. You remember that guy?
course. No,
He
I don't
was
think
like
so.
the
LA.
first guy who went against the guys from Compton. And
Wasn't he based out of
he
LA?
had a
Sideshow.
song, no, he's a New York guy. So he had he had a song called "Fuck Compton."
He probably wasn't
That was
from
pretty
there, though.
ballsy at the time.
It was,
Well, that was the worst rap beef ending ever.
What is this,
it was like
Jamie?
NWA.
Sideshow.
NWA split up from Ice Cube, and then Dr. Dre left, and then him and Eazy went and did their own thing, and then that beef ended in an AIDS death. It's like you don't see those ones happen anymore.
well, those beefs, they would go to actual shooting each other. That's what's the craziest thing. Like, never in the history of show business was there a scenario where stars were having other stars murdered, like openly.
What's happening now more than ever?
Yeah.
Well,
Right
I think
now,
it's easier to become like a quote unquote star on the internet now. So a lot of these guys are like getting really popular and then getting killed, like young rappers.
You know, the wildest conspiracy theory about that has to do with intelligence agencies.
Oh, that the
creating
CIA
rap
made
music.
him gangster and shit like that.
It's, that they funded it and promoted it because they wanted to fill prisons. It's the wildest. But like
Like a
you wanted
stuffy
to
old white guy writing down these
destabilize
lyrics.
society, and you get kids, like young kids who are like we're talking about, dumb, stupid, real easily influenced, don't know what the fuck's going on, and you introduce them to rap music. It will most certainly change the way they think about life.
Yeah, especially. All
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
saying, I don't know
Yeah.
enough about that whole conspiracy and stuff, but it is crazy if you're like. If you remember the 80s and 90s, the transformation from hip hop, from being like the KRS-One kind of like, there were like all these songs about like cleaning up their streets and listening to your dad. And like, it was like rap was just, it took this drastic turn from being like very positive, like pro-black kind of thing to just all of a sudden being like, we're killing everybody. and fuck
And
bitches.
it's so funny
and-
because I listen to a lot of hip hop like when I work out, but it's like it's just I'll be listening to the most hardcore shit, and I'm just like, this is nice. Let me turn up the treadmill a little bit. But like if you're in the hood, it's just inspiring you to murder people and rob banks.
My favorite workout rap is Nas because the lyrics are so good. It gets you hyped up. You know, like that's the thing about the 90s hip hop. It was like so lyrically based.
You got to listen
Like,
to
there
any
were fun
beef raps.
lyrics.
Any beef raps are the best to work out to. Just like, I take no sides. I'll
Right,
listen
right,
to Biggie and Tupac.
You just
going
want
back
the
and forth.
aggression.
Yeah,
Just want
dude.
the
Fuck you,
aggression.
Tupac.
Yeah.
Wait.
Remember when
Fuck
Ice
you,
Cube?
Biggie.
Remember when Ice Cube put out No Vaseline?
Yeah, it's the best.
That was the
Bro,
best.
you do not want to get in one of those rap battles with Ice Cube.
No,
he
they
was
go for
so
it.
great for his time in rap. He was fucking
Bro,
incredible.
he's such a good writer. Dude.
Well, they
Yeah.
did the song "Jackin' for Beats," and that's when he made the song. It's everybody else's. It keeps changing all the most popular beats, and he just does rap. Oh, it's great.
Didn't he do a lot of the writing for NWA?
I think
I think
all
all
of
the
it.
lyrics.
All
I
of
think
it.
he
Yeah.
was
All
the.
of- yeah.
I think that was basically
Yeah.
like the thing was he wrote all the songs.
Easy
and maybe
was the
like
money
I think
and the voice.
that DOC guy probably wrote a bit too.
You know, I'm friends with Willie D from
Ghetto Boys.
Ghetto Boys, and he wrote everything. He wrote like most of their songs. He told me he wrote "Fuck a War" in 45 minutes. We were talking about it on the podcast. And he sent me a text. He goes, "I wrote "Fuck a War" in 45 minutes." I just sat down and I was like, "Motherfucker war." Have you heard that song? Where
yeah, I can't
Bushwick
remember.
Bill's
it.
getting recruited. Oh, bro, we gotta play it. We
Do you
gotta
wait,
play it.
Can I tell you that one of my favorite lyrics that never struck out to me or stood out to me when I was younger, but always makes me laugh and my mind's playing tricks on me?
Oh.
Is when Bushwick Bill, you know, he's a midget, and then he sings a song. He goes, "This wasn't no ordinary dude. He stood about 6 or 7 feet." He goes, "That's the N word I be seeing in my sleep." And like, he really goes, "That's not even that crazy."
Look at what Jamie just pulled up. Jamie, the investigative journalist that he is, just pulled up that Ice Cube formed his first rap group called CIA in 1986.
Wow.
Oh my God!
Coincidence?
It's all right in front of us, man.
Gotta connect the dots, bro.
Gotta
Everyone's
connect
saying,
the
everyone's saying that
dots.
about Puffy now. Like every interview with Puffy, he's just like just being a little bit weird, but everyone was like, "It was right in front of you, bro. He was letting us know the whole time."
Dude, when Bill Maher said the N word on his show, and then the next week had to give his apology to Ice Cube, was the funniest thing in the world. What a weird person to have to do it.
Yeah.
And then he just goes, "I'm really sorry, Ice Cube," and Ice Cube like, "Well, Bill Maher, this is a good moment to teach you something." It was so bad.
Dude, let me hear "Fuck a War." This is one of my all-time favorite war songs. With Bushwick Bill was fun because it was like a South Park character. Like he could
yeah.
say the wildest shit because he
you ever
looked
see-
different, and you're like, let him say it. He's a tiny guy.
Did you ever hear Everclear when he tells the whole story of making his girlfriend shoot him in the eye?
Yes.
Why he has no eye?
Yes. Crazy. When I used to deliver newspapers, I used to listen to this. On cassette, son.
You delivered them on a bicycle?
No, I was in a van. I had a van.
I delivered them. My uncle had a route, and I would go with him like 2 o'clock in the morning.
throw them out the window. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave Smith, you should go on stage to this.
I am loving it.
Oh, it's great. Keep me a little more.
That picture's crazy. The
Oh,
cover of
it's
that
crazy.
album.
It's so funny. This was like hard in the 80s.
Yeah.
I know.
I
that-
hate you, damn hoe.
I know, but the flow of it doesn't seem anymore.
Yeah.
It seems bubbly.
Call me a funky sucker.
Can you imagine being a woman being abused by a black midget and he makes you shoot him in the eye? Where's her
Listen,
side of that story?
That can't be her first mistake. He can't be, she's made a lot of mistakes.
No, that's the end of a long
Yeah,
series of
you
bad.
don't just
bad
get there
decisions.
because
Yeah.
you won the lottery.
He takes his eye out.
You got to do the work. You want to get into a position where you're fucking being forced to shoot your tiny man's eyeball out.
Hey, shoot me in the eye.
Jesus
what?
Christ.
You crazy tiny asshole.
Jesus Christ. Willie's got some great Bushwick stories. That was a guy that I wanted to get on the podcast, but he got sick. Like right when we were talking to his people, he apparently got sick.
Bushwick Bill?
Yeah, and he wound up in the hospital. I'm like, God damn, that would have been a good one.
How old was when he died?
It was a few years back. He wasn't that old. You know, he had a lot of health problems. What year was it?
2019, he was 52.
2019. Yeah, so it was right before that. He got sick.
52. Did you ever get Scarface?
No, I'd love to have him on. You ever see the Tiny Desk thing he did?
Mm-mm.
Fucking incredible. You know that Tiny Desk
Yeah.
performance thing they do? But Scarface did it and like slowed everything down to fit with the vibe of being in this like really tight thing. And so it was like, you know, he's always been a great Give me some of this.
Mike Dean with him, I think.
Like white guy stone.
Okay.
Mike Dean stone. But I know when
How
I
does it
say
feel,
those
Jay?
words,
How does it feel to be on the other end of
I
it?
don't like it one bit.
it's got big as those camera lenses, dog. And it was something like this. Hold up. I said, he greets his father with his hands out. Rehabilitated slave, glad to be the man's child. The world is different since he's seen it last. Out of jail. Been
It's
7
kind of
years
strange.
since
Yeah.
Well, also, what's strange is, again, seeing... We'll never know how corny or not an old Biggie or Tupac would have been. So it's funny seeing, like, there's not that he's corny, but he's just an older guy. Now, you know what I mean? This guy doesn't live any kind of gangster
You think
life
this is
anymore.
corny?
No. I'm saying
What are you
that
saying?
I'm saying that he became. You get to see how people would become. No, it's not corny at all, but it's much more. It's much softer energy than you ever thought of Scarface in the 80s and 90s.
It does feel like
sure.
it's a Scarface song that you could read one of these books to. Like
I mean,
this
it's
could
on
just be
NPR,
background.
guys.
Yeah, but if you told me this was a guy who was in the Roots or something, you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
But isn't it make more sense that he's like this now? This is an intelligent
Sure, of
guy that
course.
kept evolving as a
100%.
human being, right?
100%. And you should evolve.
Yeah, which is great. It's
Yeah, Jay,
way
you're
better
the only
than
person
like
that hasn't evolved since high school.
if you're Justin Bieber and you got to sing in a girl's voice when you're 80. You know that high pitched thing. First time I heard him sing, I thought, like, wow, this girl sounds amazing. And they go, that's Justin Bieber, and I go, oh, what a crazy voice.
We'll bring him in here anyway.
Jay also.
When he
did
was,
the
but he
same
was
thing?
real young back then. What am I
What's the
looking
Juicy
at?
J? DJ Paul is 3-6 Mafia,
Juicy J,
right?
yeah, 3-6 Mafia.
I just
Slava Manab.
saw
Okay.
DJ Paul at a Gathering of the Juggalos. I performed at. He was one of the people who performed. It's so funny seeing the people who get what's happening there versus the performers who don't, because he was up there. He knows, like, he's been with that audience. I think Tech Nine also does that. So he does all the family chants and stuff. DJ Paul, and he just gets that crowd, gets them going. But they throw shit constantly, and they're doing all kinds of crazy shit. Rakim went up there, and by Rakim, by like the third song, and like, you know, they were throwing shit at the stage, but they're into it, the audience, and then he just kind of stops the song and he goes, "Hey, I ain't about that fuck shit throwing stuff, man. So you could throw shit and we could leave, or we could do some rap music." And the crowd was just kind of like, "Oh,
they got it?
Okay."
See, back in the day when we did
He
it,
yelled at
when
them,
we did
and
it
then they
15
just-
years
and
ago,
then they stopped.
dude, they were fucking savages. So I think the Gathering of the Juggalos crowd has gotten older.
Well,
I think
they've aged
they're all,
too, yeah.
They're all 40 now, so it's like they're like, okay, if you don't want us to throw stuff, we won't, which is great.
I
We
feel
did
like
it-
No, I think they were a little more
The
like,
crowd
"Oh,
had
this
to-
is our thing, though."
They had to have a moment where they were like, all right, it's a choice between throwing stuff or rap music.
Dude, we did it 15 years ago when we were just so young in comedy, and we didn't know what it was. It was midnight in a tent in the woods with the Insane Clown Posse, and it was a comedy tent.
It's still that.
I know.
But now they know who we are.
They had, I mean, they had a guy, a clown, pick us up in a van. It's DeRosa talks about it in his. He has that joke on his special.
Upchuck.
Yeah, Upchuck's
His
the
name's
clown.
Joel.
Dude.
He's a comic from Michigan. He still runs it. He just doesn't do it anymore.
So they pick you up in a van. It's the scariest thing ever. You're like, it's just pitch black in the woods in the darkness. And when they put us up there, like, these people aren't there for comedy. They're there for this whatever experience. So they just start throwing like just cans of soda and beer and alcohol.
Jesus
Jay goes to me. He's like, dude,
Christ.
just because I was going first. He was like, I'm like a year in comedy. He's like, Jay's like, just go up there and do jokes. Don't just go up in there and smoke weed and do crowd work. He was like me, and it was Vecchione, who's like a straight up joke guy. So he was like, you're gonna set us up to fail if you don't do jokes. So within 10 seconds, a beer can whiz past my head. I was like, "Oh, is that weed?" And I just smoked weed with them for 5 minutes.
No, Lewis had on. He put on the
mask.
gas mask weed thing. You couldn't even talk through that weed.
That was my closer.
Yeah. And then I sent. And then Mike Vecchione went out, and I was the only one that was booked on it. I was just like, they want me to do a show, so if they were with me on another gig, I'm like, come and we'll do this one, and you guys go on. So Mike Vecchione goes on, and they're not paying attention to him and yelling at him. And I remember he kind of looked at me offside of the stage. I was like, you can wrap it up. Like, I'll go eat the rest of this shit.
I remember one of his premises, though.
No, well, all I remember is the premise, because he goes, I said, that feeling like when it's going rough and you see the light, somehow you even have like another 5-minute burst in you because you know you are done. So like, let me see what I can do now. It's almost like that freeing thing. So I gave Vecchione that kind of like, you can wrap it up, dude. And he goes, and I almost saw his energy change, and he just goes, he's going to do his last big joke or whatever, and he goes, hey guys, I had a dream last night, and someone in the crowd goes, fuck your dreams. And I don't think he finished the bit. And then he brought me up, and then I was supposed to do like 45, of which I did 20 maybe, because I remember saying where they got mad at me. I asked them why there's a rap festival with no black people. And then a black guy stood up and he was like, how about me? And I went, one jugga bro. and then they just booed, and someone yelled, they all bleed clown. And I just was like, can I go?
God, they all bleed clown.
Yeah, I didn't know how to respond to that.
Isn't it amazing, though, that you could if you just create a place where anybody can join, you're going to get a group of people. You know, whether it's the Insane Clown Posse or the Mormons, or if you just like throw it open.
I respect the Juggalos more than the Mormons.
Oh, hell yeah!
I think they're similar.
Well, honestly,
they're more happy being Juggalos than they are if Juggalos didn't exist.
That should be the judge of all of it, though. Like you said before, it's like, what does this actually do for you?
Right.
Forget whether any of it's real. It's just like, are you happier? Is your life better because you're a Juggalo?
And also, if you've ever listened to the Insane Clown Posse's music, it is unironically pretty awesome. I'm not gonna I thought I was gonna hate it, but every song it rules. It's just about clowns killing people.
Yeah,
it's just to a great beat.
It's horror rap.
Horror rap.
It's horror rap.
Amazing.
I am thoroughly. I said that festival's pretty amazing, and I'm thoroughly just always impressed. The music is subjective to anybody, but I'm like what they've done. I think is amazing.
It's incredible.
They are world famous, known.
They just did the VMAs,
and they're kind of the only band that's ever pulled off having like a whole festival.
Yeah,
we're the second one. Yeah. It's them and us.
Honestly, without us doing the Gathering of the Juggalos, we wouldn't have even done Skankfest. There's so much influence from the Gathering of the Juggalos, and our audience. There's a lot of crossover. In fact, I'll say it now because it's too late for people to even go. But our secret guest is the Insane Clown Posse on Thursday night at the kickoff party.
That's amazing.
It's gonna be sick.
That's amazing. Dude, the Legion of Skanks is one of the most important things in comedy. You guys really are.
Thank you.
You really are. I put you guys in the same, like, there's this brackets of, like, Kill Tony, Legion of Skanks. There's a thing about having these battlegrounds where you go, no, we're going to say what we would say if we were fucking around together. Like, you can deal with it or you can not deal with it, but this is how we would, the conversations we're having are exactly like green room conversations.
It's and I feel like now, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like almost like the tide has turned in some weird way. Like it's kind of coming back.
It definitely has.
There were like these big moments. I think like when they tried to cancel you and that didn't work. Shane getting SNL, just like big things where it's kind of like, oh, they're almost admitting, okay, we lost the great censor comedians war. But for those years, I think it was good to have Legion of Skanks for a lot of those a lot of those comics. That was just like, well, this is the place where you could still do whatever you want.
We were just opening the door a little bit to say fucked up shit, and people would come on our show. I mean, the amount of times people would be like, dude, should I have not said that on your show after they leave?
But you guys did a wise thing too, though, because you were subscription based. Right? So for the longest time, if you wanted to find out what you guys were talking about, you had to subscribe. So you had like
Lewis is kind of like
subscribers.
Plan on that too, is to kind of keep ourselves a little safe from.
Well, yeah, we have our own platform, and we put out the version on YouTube. We put it out on iTunes, but we play by the rules there. So we edit out all the shit you can't say on those platforms. And if you want to see the real version, the way that we do it, you got to go subscribe. And honestly, with YouTube, the way they started censoring everything, it actually now, because we've been doing this for like 8 years. But now more than ever, a platform that we have is more important than ever, because now YouTube is super strict with everything we do. We have to bleep things, we have to censor things. There's certain topics we can't even put in the podcast.
It's so wild that there's only really one YouTube. Like, if you had to predict at the beginning of the internet when they first started putting videos and like those little media players you'd get with Windows, who the fuck would have ever thought there would only be one streaming site that anybody cares about? There's a few other ones,
well,
but
they do
nobody.
That's what I'm saying. No one catches on. It's like Google is like the search engine, but like there's a whole bunch of other ones, but no
Yeah.
one. But
Well,
you know,
Google
like,
also bought out YouTube, and I mean, they it was so smart the way they did it. But yeah, like you can't go to. No offense to Rumble, like. When you put the podcast on Rumble, nobody watches it. There's no visibility.
There's a
But
few
there's
shows
also-
that have big audiences on Rumble,
Yeah,
like
because
that
they
are
can't
really.
be
but
on-
they're bigger than Rumble.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
that's kind of the dynamic, and it is Google and YouTube, which are one and the same now. It is amazing how they just became the thing for something that there's no clear reason why there should be one thing. But nobody is like, if you say something and you go, "Is that true?" and I go, "Yeah," Bing it.
Well, the
Like no one knows.
Yeah.
Like,
The
wait, what?
YouTube thing, though, it's like they have it so dialed in with like the recommendations, and there's constant. You could go down rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole and never find the end, and be endlessly entertained. And it encourages you to keep looking at other stuff, keep showing you other stuff constantly.
Oh,
And then
judgment-
all the
I'm
power
judgmental of
in the
TikTok.
universe is that algorithm now. It's insane how much that like
but
a
that
formula
particularly-
has this much power, and they've like. If YouTube decides we're going to push this person, they could make someone one of the most influential people
Yeah,
in
so
the world.
industry has become, it's not even like the industry. The industry has become tech nerds that are like in charge of all these algorithms, and they can like, who knows how it works? Who knows
Yeah.
when they just pick and choose and what they
All I know
choose?
is YouTube thinks I want to see Ben Shapiro a lot more than I want to see Ben Shapiro. YouTube's like, I'm pretty sure you're going to love this
Yeah, I
guy.
don't know how it got to what I told you yesterday, right? The guy's name I asked you about because I just found him yesterday was Kirk. Was it
Charlie Kirk?
Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, he's big.
I watched him and Ben Shapiro yell at college kids. That's the video.
That is
That's
such
my
a weird
algorithm
one.
now.
That is such a weird one when you sit down with like young kids that don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They've never been on camera ever, and you give them a microphone. It's even if they're willing to sign the release, 19-year-olds don't know what the fuck they're saying.
Well, the one girl,
I also-
one
it's
girl
not
was, one
right
girl was
that you
getting
should- if you're-
dominated. One girl was getting dominated on the thing, but I was going to say that like she even says it where I do like even though I'm kind of like, lady, you sound dumb. I felt genuinely bad for her when she goes. He like, gave her like some kind of smarmy like blah, 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 and she just kind of goes. She's like, well, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm nervous. Like I don't talk on microphone a lot. Like I think you do. So like I'm so, and I was almost like, yeah, dude. Like you're getting,
course.
you're like housing her, and when no one, she says something, and everyone around starts booing, and she starts kind of like smiling, but it's not a smile of like bring it on. She's doing the smile of like I don't know what to do. Like she's that scary. I've just been frozen before a lot. It makes me feel bad for
Not
them.
only that, but then that girl now is internet famous, right? So did she really understand what she was doing? Like, did she
Yeah.
really understand what the consequences of that are when you're 19 or whatever age she is?
Also, if you're an adult and you're arguing with a child, a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old, the goal of it should always be with the tone of a like, well, look, let me give you something to consider. Like maybe I get why you feel that way, but like, hey, maybe look at it this way. It should never be like I want to have the crowd go, oh,
Right.
you destroy. It's like,
Well,
what
that's
are
why
you
it's
doing?
almost like when
dude?
you ever see like a comedian who's like a kid, like a 16 or a 15-year-old kid. Like I just have a hard time ever really enjoying him because I'm going like, you have no idea. You've lived absolutely no experiences. You have no like perspective on the world or anything. Maybe you understand how to tell a joke, but it's kind of yeah.
Oh, that's what it does. And that's
I
one of
became-
making someone famous on America's Got Talent, something like that. And you're like, what do you do?
I became friends with Chappelle when he was 19. I saw Chappelle when he was 19. He was doing like
And he was also savant though.
he was, but he also did a thing that was really interesting where he would do outside shows. He would just throw a hat down
In the
At,
park,
and
yeah.
start doing
Washington
stand up
Square
on the
Park.
street. No, anywhere.
Oh, yeah?
He did it in Montreal. He did it right in front of the Club Soda. We did a show, and then Chappelle goes outside and fucking does stand up to people in the street, and they all gathered round, and he was doing stand up in the street in
Crushing?
Montreal, crushing.
Crushing.
and this was him at 19.
Yeah.
So no, he's not
I mean,
famous
maybe he was
at all.
maybe he was a couple years older by then. Maybe he
Well,
was
19 he got his
So
first
this
deal.
was 94, I want to say. I did the Montreal Comedy Festival with him, and I met him in like 91, somewhere around then. So what? How old was Dave in 1991? That will.
He did Robin
Jamie's
Hood Men
gonna
in
have to do
Tights
some
when he
more.
was 19, I believe.
But dude, it was crazy. Like he would do this thing where he would just do stand up out to people. He was 19. He would just do stand up on the street. It was the craziest thing you'd ever seen, man.
I wouldn't.
He
And
was
if anybody did that now and put it on video, we would all mock them.
But he learned how to do it from Charlie Barnett. And Charlie Barnett was like a famous New York comic that got on Saturday Night Live but couldn't read.
Couldn't read, so that's how Eddie Murphy got the gig.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Oh, that's
But he used
that's
to do
why he
that.
lost the gig because
Yeah.
he couldn't read the scripts.
Yeah, he was He was pretty
Yeah.
popular. Charlie Barnett. He was like in DC Cab, right? A couple things, and like
He was a hilarious comic.
he was popping, and then he couldn't read the cue cards, so they had to hire Eddie Murphy.
And I think he influenced Dave a lot in that too. That like he saw Charlie doing those. It's
Better learn how to read, Dave. You
don't
want to
think
make it
he
in
knows
this
how to read.
business.
that poor guy, man, because he
saw
was
the early
super
influ-
talented, supposedly.
The early influence of
Tony Woods.
Tony Woods. Is
Oh
so bad,
yeah,
too,
for sure. But Tony Wood still is hilarious.
He's
dude.
great. He's doing the
Sure.
he's doing the festival this year, right?
He was there last year.
Yeah. He's awesome.
He did my podcast. Then we went to the Vulcan and did a show, and he murdered, man. It was
Oh, he's a killer,
hilarious.
dude. Really, really
Yeah, like
funny.
low energy and levels.
Charismatic though. He's just so good at engaging with the crowd.
He's very good. As some comedians just have that gift of like luring you into their world.
Yep.
Like Nate Bargatze's very like that. Like when you watch him, you're just like you slow down and you just kind of like sink into his
I can't
speed.
kill unless I'm yelling at the audience. If I'm not screaming at the top of my lungs, there's no chance.
Your
I'm
internal
getting
monologue
that.
is
But isn't that
dead
your
air,
personality?
cartwheel.
That's more of your personality. Though.
Lewis
It is
isn't-
true.
Like
directors-
imagine if you were forced to do Stephen Wright's act.
Oh,
You'd be
my
like,
God.
this is not me.
No.
But for Stephen Wright, it's perfect.
Yep.
For Stephen Wright, it's the fucking best act
Well,
ever.
Jay, you're very low energy. You kind of bring them into you, but it's very and you sit down, which is like
That's by design, though, because
You're lazy.
like I said, I watched that 'cause I'm very lazy. No, I watched Patrice. Like, dude, it's a complete like mimic of Patrice's things. It was watching him go from standing to sitting and seeing that the crowd, some of the people that took him in is very like he's like looming over them and saying these like crazy things, like being like turned off by that. To seeing when he was laying back and letting them come into him, he could say like much more people like embraced that. They were leaning into him.
That makes sense.
And when you're a big guy, so that's why I just felt as a big presence. I was like, I'm gonna say all this kind of crazy shit. Like when I'm over them, it looks like I'm like pointing down at them, and instead of letting them kind of like come into the stage.
That actually does make sense. That if you, and also they're sitting down too. Why are you standing up? Well, you're not moving around unless you have some activity in your act. If you've got some activity, if you've got some things you got to act out a little
when I
bit.
started in the
get
black
it.
comedy clubs, man, I was doing a straight Chris Rock pace, nonstop. A lot of direct finger point. You know what I'm talking about. This guy know what I'm saying.
Those are good. Those juicy old act up. Yeah, man. It's interesting now too because like Kill Tony's sort of a similar situation as getting interviewed by Charlie Kirk. Like some of these fucking dudes for their first time ever, they do stand up and it's at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
And they're just like, what the fuck? And they go out there and they just frozen in the eyes of 16,000 people, and that's going to be them forever. Everybody at work's like, look at Mikey Bauman. Look at Mikey Bauman. This fucking idiot thought he was funny. And then
The
the
guy went-
comments, all your neighbors, you annoying
there's-
The
and
guy
it's
that
not-
right before me just got booed. Though I couldn't even hear what he got booed for. I just know he followed a handicapped guy who gave a sweet emotional speech about being handicapable, and then he walked off. And I said the other guy just got out there, and they were like, "Fuck this biped
No,
piece
he
of
was.
shit."
I remember he was like, whatever it is, dude. A show like Kill Tony. If you're good looking, it's held against you pretty quickly. The audience
Really
is like, yo,
quickly.
fuck you, dude. Where are your burn scars?
like the rest of Earth. The audience represents the rest of
microcosm.
Earth. When you see someone that's good looking and they've got a spotlight on them, fuck you. It's like a natural inclination.
No, I think there's
You're
a subconscious thing, though.
flaunting.
I think we good-looking people, we want to grease the wheels for a little bit. Good-looking people have it pretty easy in life. In comedy, it's just a weird thing. It's just you almost give them a little
Because
bit
humor
like,
is the weapon of the not good-looking
Yes.
person
Right.
to like counter out
Right.
this. So you're immediately going like, "You're hot. You don't have a fucking
you're
personality.
hot and
Like, get out of
funny,
here."
go fuck yourself.
Exactly.
Even though there are good-looking people who are hilarious and have good personalities, but generally speaking,
Well, you
It's
learn,
not.
you learn to be
Generally
funny.
speaking, it's not likely.
Schumer had a thing one time. She said, I saw her on stage at the Cellar once, and it was about her and her boyfriend meeting Kate Upton, and like she walked away to go get something to drink or whatever. When he came back, he was like, Yeah, her husband said to Amy, he was like, she's great, man. She said the funniest story. He's like, fuck you, dude. It's like, really is the idea of like, come on, man, don't.
Well, yeah, but you learn to
That's
be
what people do all the time. They go
funny.
like, Brad, people are like, dude, George Clooney, that prankster, he's the best. That guy's the funniest dude. You're like, he's fine. At best, I'm sure. Relax.
Yeah, it's a personality trait to get laid. We all learn to be funny when we're kids because we're not good looking enough to get laid without it.
It's like, look, I either got to get funny or do donuts in the streets of Philadelphia. And it's easier to get funny.
I love when really good-looking actors tell you who to vote for. They're my favorite. They're my favorite. These are the guys with all the wisdom, and then they're going to tell you. They're the same guys who told you to get vaccinated too, by the way.
Well, the best,
same guys.
The best was like early in it, like in March and April, when they would all take videos from their mansion and be like, "We're all in this together."
Yes,
like,
stay home. I would also stay home if I had $30 million in the bank.
Here, imagine you're twirling a Tom Collins with your finger on a raft.
If they look from the future, if we go into apocalyptic times, do you think they'll look back on like the shutting down of the country for a year and a half as like the trigger that made society begin to collapse?
I don't think they will. They'll never acknowledge they were wrong.
Do you think, but like historians, objective historians, you think they'll look back at this time and be like, this was the fall of Rome?
Dude, there's going to be a lot of books written about this period in time.
I think it's the internet. The internet is the beginning of the end for everything.
But is it the beginning of the end?
It's not, because the internet didn't shut the fucking country down for a year and a half. The internet didn't
That's the way they shared the ideas that quickly.
Yeah, but it's a very specific group of people who decided that was a good idea.
Nah, you wouldn't have had anyone even fighting back against it if it wasn't for the internet. It would have all just been the
Without
CNN
the internet,
guys.
they would have pulled that off so much easier. They would have scared the shit out of you.
Well,
you would never know.
Yeah,
but if this happened in the 1980s, you would never know how many people died on respirators. You would never know about any of that shit. You wouldn't know about a goddamn thing they didn't want you to know about. That's what's so scary about the media today.
When you hear about the Spanish flu, you're like, how do you know how many people died? There was no internet. There was no there's no way.
Yeah, by the time you got your horse to the next place with the information, more people have died.
Bro, living back then, you were fucked. If you lived in the city, the hygiene was insanely bad. People would shit in these outhouses that were set up for the block.
They never
sorts of diseases.
They never present
food.
that. I think that always when I watch like Tombstone and stuff, and like Kurt Russell and a girl run off into the woods to go kiss. I'm like, I bet her armpits smell like shit.
Yeah,
like everything. Yeah, her teeth would be all.
She has gum disease.
Everybody smelled like shit. You had a shit in a hole in the ground. They hadn't even invented toilet paper back then. Who knows how they even wiped
Dude, you
their
had to be
ass?
so horny in the 1600s to just power through all of that to have sex.
It's a big hairy bush. It stinks.
Yeah.
I guess you'd just be like a
I'm gonna put
dog.
my chin in your shit-covered ass cheeks and eat your disgustingly smelly, hairy pussy.
Dogs don't give a shit what anything smells like, and I guess you just get used to stuff.
That was it.
I guess so.
It was probably hot, dude. Dude, a stinky pussy was probably hot in the 1600s.
By 1880, horses in New York City deposited 4 million pounds of manure on city streets every day. In dry weather, it would turn to fecal dust and choke pedestrians. Vacant lots were filled with the waste. These manure piles would rise up to 60 feet high.
Now it's called Staten Island.
60 feet high. Dude, if you fell from 60 feet, you're dead.
Yeah, save me all that shit about carbon emissions, by the way. We're doing great. This is way better than what it used to be.
Oh, my God. You're breathing shit air.
Yeah.
By the way,
everyone was sick.
I'll tell you who's right now nodding their head. He goes, yeah, that's why I'm the guy who invented that bag that goes behind the horses' asses.
Isn't it amazing, though, that the invention of the internal combustion engine and the adoption of cars by everybody and the abandonment of driving horses literally stopped there from being shit air throughout every city street? Shit air.
You've never been to Newark, Joe.
I was born in Newark.
Oh, never mind. You have.
I've been there.
It's not much better smelling in Newark.
I lived there in the 1990s.
There's like
was it bad when you lived there?
Horrible.
Yeah, that's.
I
I'd
lived with my
imagine that.
grandfather to saving up money to get an apartment. When I first moved to New York, I didn't have enough money for an apartment. And my grandfather lived on North 9th Street in Newark. And he was there from the blockbusting days. So he bought a house there like in the 1940s or 50s. And then in the 60s, they came by and they said, black people are moving into your neighborhood. Sell now. And it was like a real estate scam. And then they would try to sell to black people and just like get money out of all these houses. And my grandfather it was an Italian community. And my grandfather was like, I love black people. I don't give a fuck. Get out of here. This is my house. And he wasn't moving. And so all these
Your grandfather's
people,
old enough also that he's like, I was the black person 5 minutes ago.
Exactly.
Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, when he moved here, he came here straight from Italy, and he told me it was horrific. Like the term "wop," I always think it was funny. If you say around him, he would get angry.
Yeah.
Like if someone called somebody a guinea, he would get angry. Like,
Classic WAP behavior, am I right?
exactly. But it's like, he was a peaceful guy, but he would just get like that was a terrible thing that they used to call us when we were kids. But you know, that's not that long ago, man.
No,
that's
it's
what's
all,
really crazy.
all the like basically across the country, even in like California, but like all the like areas that you think of as like the hood. It's like Oakland or Compton or Newark or Crown Heights or any of those were all white areas up until like the 60s, and then like a bunch of black people from the South came up, and then all the white people left.
Well,
And they-
that's what
those
happened to
neighborhoods
my-
are
And they
great now.
did do these scams.
And
It was like a lot of it was like pushed by these real estate guys, and they would like purposely fuck up a neighborhood to make money off of it. And then there was redlining, where like they wouldn't sell to black people outside
Yeah.
certain lines. Like that was a Baltimore issue too.
Well, my grandmother, it was funny, the neighborhood I grew up in, like, was Jewish and black, and then down the next neighborhood was Italian. Everyone it became predominantly black by the time I moved up. My grandmother, till like 2 years before she died, and was in a nursing home, stayed in that house, and it did not scare the old people at all. It didn't, like, as it changed around them, it didn't scare. There would be literally people, like, on her front step, like her neighbors, like a bunch of like teenagers, like rapping with a loud stereo, and she would just be like, "Oh, they're nice.
But at least
They call
they're
me
not
Miss-
trans."
Like they call me Miss Jeanette, and so whatever."
My grandma was
Yeah.
delightfully racist. I mean, she didn't give a fuck. My grandma
It's
Rose,
hilarious that
in her mind,
the only brown person at the table had the most racist
my
white
grandma was
grandmother.
like openly racist. She didn't give a shit. My Aunt
I
Emery,
think
to
the
this day, she's a little racist.
The penalty of being a Puerto Rican that's racist is less than the
No, but she
penalty
was
of being
white.
No,
like
she
an
was
Irish.
Italian.
Oh,
She was Italian. I'm half Italian, Irish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And no, they would literally, I would be at the dinner table, and I remember one Thanksgiving, my grandma said, because I was getting picked on by white kids in the neighborhood because it was like a white trash neighborhood, and I was the only brown kid. And my grandma was like, you know, it's not his fault that he's an N-word.
Oh, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
And I
But she
remember-
was right.
She was right. She
It
had
is
a
not
great
his
It's not
fault.
your fault.
It's not
You didn't
my fault.
choose it.
It's not my fault.
Yeah, that's what the original Goodwill Hunting was.
Not you, Grandma. Not you.
No, when
I
people-
just go hug black people and Goodwill Hunting them. That's what I call it. It's not your fault. What's not my fault? It's not your fault. Not you, Jay. Don't you do this, Jay.
Have you guys seen that Matt Walsh movie? Am I racist?
I haven't seen
I
the-
watched
the
the
new
trailer
one.
today. Is it? What's it out
It's
on now?
really funny.
I've
Did it come out?
heard
Theaters.
great things about it.
It's a top 10 movie in the country right now.
Yeah.
I think it's what number is it?
Well, the first one was
Which
great.
is crazy, dude. It's gotten no press reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, but customer reviews is 99%, which is wild.
Yeah.
Like no one will review it.
Why?
Because it's funny.
Well,
and
he's
it's
a real-
and he's not being sanctimonious. He's not like talking down to people or preaching to them. He's just showing how nutty all these fucking people on these struggle sessions with white people.
The other one was
finding
great.
out-
The-
Dude,
what
it's
was
just
it? What
like
was a
I
Woman
think it's
was
better.
great.
It's
Yeah.
better than that because this one's really funny. What is a woman at certain times? You're like,
Well, the trailer says it's a comedy.
Yeah.
It calls it a comedy.
It is
which
a
not-
comedy.
I don't think the other one like really was pushed as that.
But he's essentially doing like a right wing version of one of those like Sacha Baron Cohen type shows.
Yep.
He's essentially doing that. He's sitting down with these people and he's pretending that he is with them and he wants to know, how he could do better.
Am I
Number
racist?
7. Number 7 in the fucking country with no press, man.
It made $2.5 million this weekend.
Do you know how nutty that is to have no press and have a show take off and become a top 10 movie in the country? It's pretty wild. And no press reviews at all. It's an interesting time, man. It's interesting.
And it is like the thing that was real interesting about the first one, and I think probably is true about this, although I haven't seen it yet, is that even though he's obviously like a real right winger, it's not like that's the movie. Like the movie isn't even making a right wing argument or anything like that. It's just like letting these crazy left wingers showcase how crazy they are.
Exactly.
Like, okay, you tell them. Like, it was nuts. He just went up to these in the first one that I did see. He just went up to these gender experts and just kept asking them what a woman is. It
was crazy.
And they all just collapse into themselves. Like, this is the toughest question they never thought of.
The trans woman he asked outside was the best because it was like, well, what is a woman then? She goes, I think I want to go.
They've made it. They've tried to boil it down. I think I saw somebody do this the other day to try to come up with a logical explanation. It was something really ridiculous. Like, although recognizing that there are biological differences, a woman is anybody who tells you they're a woman. While recognizing so this is like the loophole. While recognizing that Harry probably can't get pregnant, he is now Harrietta. And that's just it. That's just it. There's no conversation that can be had here. And in some countries, they're talking about jailing people. Was it Scotland that had something about a proposal about literally jailing people for misgendering people?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's like a big discussion always. Yeah, but
but they were talking about putting people in a fucking cage. Like,
yeah,
find out where that was. Was that in Scotland?
That's the thing that happened in Canada. In Canada, a guy got sent to jail for he wouldn't agree to call his son a daughter or vice versa.
I mean, how many people are actually legitimately it's like 0.001% of people are actually trans.
Well, now it's way higher than that with young people because there's not a real thing to being trans anymore.
Dude.
I was 3 steps away from racing my cars and doing donuts, and also 3 steps away from becoming trans.
Yeah, they're next door neighbors. They're just like Moonies. By the way, you can join up, man.
Ironically,
you can join up.
I just wanted to fit in with somebody.
Louis, ironically, if you were Asian, you would have been better at both things.
Maybe, possibly.
Bro, you would have been a tough sale as a chick.
No, dude, I looked good as a chick. First of all, me and Dave dressed up as chicks years ago to make fun of the Guys We Fucked podcast. We mocked them. We did a sketch dressing up as them, and I looked fucking good.
I'm sure you did, but there's not a lot of dudes who are going to want to climb you.
I'm telling you right now,
you're an intimidating lady.
You're a big lady, man. You're a scary lady.
Yeah, if I decided to go to a lady,
Claim that new Scottish law would jail people for misgendering is false. And look, they have Elon's picture.
Why did he get brought into it?
What is the actual truth? What is the actual truth?
If I became a woman, though, I already know what I'm fucking.
It's way down
skinny
here.
black dude.
Yeah, you are.
Is misgendering a crime? What does it say?
Jay, you're going to move
false.
According to law professor, I guess.
According to Adam Tompkins, one guy. I'll trust him. Misgendering could only be considered a hate crime if it was done in a way that a reasonable person would consider to be threatening or abusive. Wait a minute. That's pretty
vague.
That means yes. That doesn't mean no. That doesn't mean it's false. That means you just if that's how you're going to write it out, that in quotes a reasonable person would consider to be threatening or abusive. Who the fuck is reasonable? How many people do you know that are reasonable?
And also threatening.
They're going to be able to decide whether or not you should be jailed?
Well, threatening is a little bit more concrete than abusive. Abusive is really vague. Like, what do you mean? Verbally abusive?
If you're a 100-pound man and Lewis calls you a man name and you want to be called a woman's name, that could be threatening.
Right.
That could be threatening.
He's
a big guy.
I also would have been threatening the guy, to be honest.
Yeah. Why are you being a woman?
Headbutt.
That's a weird thing. Misgendering would only be considered a hate crime if it was done in a way. Okay, what does it say below that? According to Adam Tompkins, a law professor and former conservative MSP, asserting that sex is a biological fact or that it is not changed just by virtue of the gender by which someone chooses to identify is not and never can be a hate crime under this legislation. Okay, so he's saying that dead naming someone will never be a crime.
Well, no, but see, even this is in a kind of a little bit vague way because he's saying asserting that sex is a biological fact. So if I just say men are men and women are women, that can't be a crime. But can calling an individual could be like, no, you're not a woman, you're a man. Could that be considered abusive or whatever? It's all the interpretation. Like, what is that?
That's a very good point because this is just step one, right?
That's what it seems like to me.
Right. So this is not saying, no, arguing with them, no, you're a man. It says it's not changed by virtue of the gender by which someone chooses to identify is not and never can be a hate crime. But, yeah, that is weird because, asserting that it's a biological fact, but, what if you're arguing? What if you're saying you're a man? Is that harassment now? Fuck you, I'm a woman. You're a fucking man. And if you're getting in one of those exchanges, what's that then? You know what I mean? Like that might
hold
get.
on. If I call somebody an asshole, they're not literally an asshole, right? So, like, technically, isn't it all just sort of like deciding what words have power and what words don't?
100%. Because
That's
if
all
you're
retarded.
not swearing and this person's swearing back at you that wants to be called a woman, fuck you, you fucking cocksucker. I am a woman. And you're like, no, you're not. You're a dude. Like you're like standing your ground in that situation, right? That could also be the case.
What if you don't threaten them, but like if you hypothetically, like if that dude was like, I am a woman, and I was like, if you were a woman, I'd slap the shit out of you right now, but you're a man, so I'm afraid you might beat my ass. So like I didn't actually threaten them.
That's a good balance because you're putting yourself in the. You're not saying I'd beat your ass. You're saying I'm going to get fucked up. So that's
like
good.
I don't know. Do you train?
But what's to be said?
That's very well phrased.
What's to be said for feeling how you feel and also just not giving a shit? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I feel like, as I said before, I think they should not give hormones or any kind of operations to children to change their gender.
Imagine that being a radical idea.
But I'm saying, but I don't. But also, if they're like, they're not making it illegal, they're doing it. I'm like, well, now I want to see a 5-year-old with tits. Like now I want to see it. Like, I'm against it. I just want to go. They did. Well, they already
You're
did
not
it.
even
So I'm
allowed
gonna go.
to say that.
Let me see.
Yeah, you're not even allowed to say that.
To say what?
But it's a boy's tits. That's the thing that's weird. It's like that. With the nipple thing is odd, right? Didn't New York City? Didn't they free the nipple where you can walk around with your tits
believe
out?
so. Yeah.
Do you ever see it?
Yeah, once in a while.
Do you?
In the park.
Like
in the park
really?
you'll see it.
Just
in Austin,
Is there ever a pair that you're really looking forward to seeing?
Rarely, but once in a while in a park you'll see a nice pair of tits. In
Wait,
Austin,
just fully
what's
topless?
What's the spring called? Barton Springs. So it's tops are optional there for girls.
Oh my goodness!
I brought my son there, dude. He was 10 years old, and I just saw him staring at this girl's tits, and it's all hot chicks. It's all like hot Austin chicks.
Of course, they're being free. They do ketamine. Yay!
And I remember James was just fucking keyed in on this girl's tits, and I was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" He was like, it's natural, Dad. Mom says the body's natural, so."
Mom says. The fuck is she talking to you about?
Yeah,
bro. Imagine what people were like before they had clothes. Them just like chimps, just fucking every chance they could, just trees and shit. Imagine before people figured out clothes, how wild it was.
I think we figured them out pretty early on in the game.
Clothes?
Yeah.
Well, it was a leaf you put over your
Yeah,
dick.
No. It was millions of years of being subhuman hominids.
What I should say is I think pretty early in the game of being humans. So like whenever they're like they trace like the genetic to like this is when we consider you like a modern Homo sapien.
Especially
I think one of the first things
if we came out of the water, our
clothes.
dicks were so small.
Honestly,
you threw something on quick.
I don't know if that's true. I think it was all climate based. I think in Africa, I mean, how much they probably covered their dicks.
Well, in
but
Africa,
if you go to
there's
like
still
some places
parts
of the
that are-
Amazon
yeah.
that are totally buck naked.
Well, in Africa,
and
they have
you
to
don't-
cover their dicks, otherwise it's dangerous.
Take a trip. You don't need
Just tie it back like a hair bun.
Like they didn't need to stay warm, right? So I think it was only when people started moving.
Yeah,
And when
you might be right about
I
that.
think it's a migration thing because where human life evolved is the same area where like a lot of different primates evolved besides us.
Yeah, human beings got to
None of
Europe.
them got close.
They got to Europe and they went,
Yeah.
all right, let's cover our dicks and build some shit.
When did we
think they
start?
just-
I know in the Bible they says it was like God gave us embarrassment at one point or whatever. But when did we really start getting embarrassed?
It was
Like,
cold.
Who was the first guy that was like, "Oh, my dick is small. I don't want people to see this."
I hope we don't find out or Sebastian's not going to have anything to talk about. Aren't you embarrassed?
I think it's as soon as we started moving to places where it was cold, and then when you don't see people's dicks and pussies all day long, like it kind of changes your behavior. And it probably led to us like saying, like, "Listen, we need a city and we need a wall. we need to figure out how to block all these wild motherfuckers, these bare dick motherfuckers from coming over the hills." That's probably what happened. Probably people started getting really shy.
But who was the
because
first
they were
guy-
covering themselves up with animal skins to stay warm.
But why was it having a small dick? I need to get to the bottom of this. What was the problem with having a small dick that everyone was like, "You need to cover that little dick up"? You know?
Well, the Romans thought that having a big dick was gross. The
Right?
big dick was a sign of
let's
a
move the Romans.
barbarian.
True that.
That's why they like had little dicks on all those giant dudes. Like the odds of like if you look at some of Michelangelo's statues, the odds of those guys not having a massive hog are very small. That is a dude built like Francis Ngannou.
Well, and what's funny is
But also
incredible
the artists,
muscularity.
all of those kings and all of those like important people, they literally commissioned them to build them like they were gods, and they would build the statues bigger than the statues of gods, right? And you would think that they would give them a big fat
Giant
hog,
fat
just
hog.
a fucking hammer.
Nope. They all have little tiny dicks because
There you
they
go. That's
thought
just
of
the artist's signature.
some person, just like the same people that are tricking people into thinking your cat can be non-binary, somebody back then tricked them into thinking that big dicks are bad, and it's probably some conniving little dick king,
Some genius.
some little motherfucker who
He's a
figured
traveler
out a
from
way
Asia.
to.
He's like, oh, Saul.
There was a
Ew, get your
brilliant.
big dick out of here.
Oh, look at the hog on that guy though. What's that one from?
He's a Greek god. I don't know.
Oh my God!
Yes,
Look
he
at his
is.
fucking
Priapus?
dong. Look at his dong, and look at all the extra skin he's got at the front of his dong.
That guy must be libertarian.
It looks like a fucking hawk's face.
By the way, that's the only one that's uncircumcised of all these.
Yeah.
Well, once they're hard, it pops out. You know, look at these animals. Jesus, what is that from?
My bedroom.
Same guy, I think.
Yeah, that's what I keep my bracelets on.
But look at that one right there. The guy has a tiny dick. The one in the yeah, right there. Look at that tiny dick.
I would say average
insane.
size, Joe.
It's soft.
Bro,
That's
for
the
that
thing.
guy's
Everybody,
body.
yeah, but everybody can't stay fucking boned up for the while they're posing for the fucking statue.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, Joe. Leave the man alone. It's
That-
not a bad dick.
That's
I
a
think it's
tiny
weirder
dick.
that that guy was so hard. Who's
Yeah.
fucking-
No, that's normal. That's normal.
That's
to be
normal.
walking around Heil Hitler and with a giant rod.
He goes,
Go
oh,
back to that.
Michelangelo,
Go back
Michelangelo,
to that.
paint this.
You go back to that.
Sculpt this for
Bro,
me.
I don't care what your excuse is. If anybody ever gets a picture of you Heil Hitler and with a go back to that picture
a big cock.
with a giant hog,
one?
the one that you just had with the guy Heil Hitler and
His hand was upside down. It was.
it was clearly a Heil Hitler to me, bro. Is it the one, the white one? Yeah, that one right there.
Oh, that's
Click on that, bro. That's Heil Hitler.
No, he's
That's not the
walking-
one though.
he's
though.
walking like an
That's not
Egyptian,
the one
Joe.
you had. That one's freakier. This
Oh,
one
this
looks
guy's-
like more modern.
This guy's playing music to his dick.
That last one looked like she was wearing high heels. What was the one you just had up, Jamie?
It is.
Oh, that one right
It's
there.
right there.
That one right there. To the left of that. To the left. Right here? No, no, no. In the middle. In the middle.
Middle,
the
second
gray
row.
one.
Up
Middle
one
second
row.
row.
Up
Myth
one
art.
row.
Up one row. To the
To the
right.
right.
That's it.
the one I
Bam.
had just a second ago.
Bro, that guy's
Yeah.
Heil Hitler. And
The arm's upside down.
that's how it started.
It's like a
It
present-
started like
He's
this,
going
and then
this-
they flipped it
Oh,
over.
okay.
It's like how you turn over a punch.
Yeah.
That was
Heil
it. That was
Hitler.
he was getting ready to give a fucking strong one. Look, the guy's got a giant heart on. He's very excited.
He's Nazi on the left side and gay on the right side.
I was gonna say they really are. They make them sort of flamboyant too.
Jamie, go back to that one and give us a description. What does that mean?
I think it's still the same guy.
Is this one?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Who is
I'm
the
gonna say-
guy?
I think it's a guy with a big
This,
dick.
The pre-
Don Lucas.
Priapus,
Like some
he's
kind of a
Greek
job.
god.
Oh, okay. What's his name?
Greek god of fertility, probably.
Oh, that's right.
Priapus,
Let's go.
Priapus.
Let's
He's
go,
the-
champ.
He's the only guy with a big dick in any of that
Oh,
art.
there's so many different versions of him, though. Sometimes his dick is reasonable.
Yeah.
You know, really big but reasonable.
Well, different states. Maybe he just it looks like sometimes he just fucks. Sometimes he just got out of the shower.
But like the Sieg Heil one, he looked pretty reasonable, right? It was a reasonable dick. It was a big dick, but some of them were like, "Hey, man, come on, come on." I mean, there's no way.
I've just gotten to an age now where I just go around the
Jesus,
I go around the locker room completely naked now for the first time in my life. Like I think it's funny.
the men's locker, right?
The men's locker room,
Okay.
yeah, of course, yeah,
Just
yeah.
checking.
Men's, women, children.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Lewis is in there.
But I think it's so funny to just be naked amongst men. With
I don't
my,
like it.
With my little dick, it's hilarious. It makes them uncomfortable.
I don't like it at all. And taking a little bouncy dick walk to a shower.
Nuts.
My little bird.
Yeah.
No, fuck
Did you guys
that.
hear about that Canadian guy who is 50 years old who identified as a teenage girl? He wanted to do a swim meet with teenage girls, and they were
That is the
letting
next
him.
step.
I believe there was like an argument. See if it's true. If they let him actually into the locker room, I want to make sure that this is true. Like a girl's locker room. Can you imagine you have a teenager
What a dream.
that's going to do a swimming event?
Oh.
What?
This is like attached to a school.
50-year-old trans swimmer shared locker room while competing against teens.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And this is how crazy Canada's gotten. They're just like the Moonies, they're just like the Juggalos. Like they're in a cult. They don't realize they're in a cult. But if you think this is a good idea to let a 50-year-old guy who decides to identify as a woman change in a locker room with teenage girls because he identifies as a teenage girl, you're out of your fucking mind.
Ladies.
Does it say
it's just
that this
a bunch of us
person-
gals in here.
I mean,
Let me be clear that this does this person say they identify as a teenage girl?
this
Let's
was
see
a
if
plan
that's-
that I would have drummed up when I was 12 years old.
I don't think that's. It was an event that teenage girls could be in 16 and older.
I think it's
swim
just a
race.
locker. She's going to a women's
there were
locker room in
teams there.
general.
Okay, 16 and older. This person's competing in a 16 and older, so you could be any age.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there any evidence that this person identifies as a teenage girl, or is that just the internet?
Sounds like the internet, but I don't know.
Google that just in case. I would like to know. Because that makes it extra crazy and fun.
I'd be weirded out by.
It does.
It does make it extra crazy and fun that people are like, okay, it's the same way I feel about all the other things we talked about. Like, the odds of you not being out of your fucking mind are really low. They're really
Very
low.
Yeah.
Super low. And the fact that everyone's like, yeah, inclusivity, like,
Well, also,
how did we get to this Mooney point?
there's also you should be allowed to say that some things are weird and crazy, and that doesn't necessarily mean you have to hate them or be against them. Comedians are weird and crazy.
I'm
like
weird and
we're
crazy.
all weird and crazy.
Okay,
But
this is apparently, that means Weishart was swimming with young girls because of how fast or slow a swimmer is, not because she identifies as a young girl. But the competition is presumably separated by gender, so there's an issue where Weishart is competing against females while being biologically male. And also, I think, intact.
Oh.
So, which is also the weird one, right? Like, you could be a woman, but you don't even have to try that hard.
no, you don't have to do
Sorry,
much.
turned around real quick and hit you with my pussy on your back.
And you can go back and forth anytime
no,
you
if you-
want. You
if
don't have
you-
to choose.
I'll call you your name if you cut your dick off.
Does anybody ever?
If you
know?
don't cut your dick off, I'm not gonna call you, or maybe I will call your name, but I might fuck it up, and I think that's okay.
Either way, he's gonna check, and we'll figure out. We'll go
Yeah.
from there.
It's just so nuts, man, that you're just giving this pervert pass. Like
I've
allows because there's real trans people that are like this, like it's happened for all eternity. There's something wiring, you feel female, but there's also crazy people. There's also real perverts, and you're giving a pervert a Willy Wonka golden ticket.
I've gotten real good. I've gotten real good at calling people the gender they want if they. Like, I still will fuck it up, but I find I'm pretty good at it. If they look like a girl, if it's a guy transitioning to a girl, and they look like a girl, I say, I'm pretty good at all the she. But if I fuck it up, look at yourself.
Yeah.
That means that you're not shaving enough, or you haven't done whatever it is to make me call you. Because I'm pretty good at calling
Damn, Jay.
trans girls girls.
But it's also
big
a
of you.
weird thing to get
Thank
stuck
you.
on because you have to agree to this thing, and you have to agree to it. Especially like if you knew the person as one thing at one point in time, and then they decided to change their name and gender, and you're like, this seems like you need a lot of attention. Like, what's going on here? This is strange. This is strange. And you're getting mad if I fuck it up and call you Harry?
Well, that's the weirdest part of all of it is like you can't like be mad at someone,
Right.
especially if it's an
Right
honest
away.
mistake.
Right.
It's
Well,
like,
that's the
I
thing.
don't
That's
know.
why I was saying.
It's ma'am.
That's why I'm saying the internet is such a bad place for it because everyone has such balls. Everyone's a keyboard warrior on the internet. Even people that are like, you know, bleeding heart liberals and people that are looking to, they find a place to go and have this voice. Back in the day, if you were trans and you were like a man that was dressing up as a woman and you wanted to get mad at somebody about it, you had to get in their fucking face. It wasn't going to happen.
And if you went to the Village in New York City, they did.
Yes.
They did get in your face.
You'd get
They were
beat up.
aggressive
You
back
would get
then.
beat
yeah.
up in the West Village by a trans chick.
Well, what's the one? That's what I loved. That was the GameStop video, right? That's
Yeah.
the one I kept. That was like the famous one, right? Where it's like, it's ma'am.
Yeah, that's
Stop
it.
calling me sir. And then it's
Yeah.
it's like
That's not how ma'ams talk, bro.
A GameStop nerd just going like, okay, sir. It's like, oh! And just like start kicking over PlayStation.
See, that's the problem that women are having, is that these men who decide that they're women are now they're entering into these places that are just women's only and women's events and women's things, and they're dominating like men do.
It was one of the
It's
very
nuts.
it was one of the
It
very
is.
few points that I've had like seeing that other side of it that I didn't for a long time. So kind of recently, it's like the argument in sports is almost like, oh, they're going to dominate and kick ass, and it's basically a guy beating up a girl in this fight and all those things. But then it was the scholarship thing. I don't know why that never dawned on me before. It's like, no, these girls are like, no, I was going to be like the #1 recruit out of my school. For
Yeah.
sure. And then this girl came in and made me look like I'm terrible because she's 6'5" and 35 pounds more than me.
Yeah, it's nuts. You're letting people cheat. You literally, there's a reason why Title IX was invented. It was invented so that women could be able to compete with other women. And you can't have an exemption for that just based on feelings, because it's not about feelings. It's about fairness in sports. And the only way to make it fair is if you're an intact biological male, you have to compete against intact biological males.
Yeah, it's
You
just-
could still call yourself Debbie. Get in aisle 4, Debbie. You're in lane 4. You're competing against Mark and Steve. But you have a dick.
there no-
We're not children
Yeah,
here.
it's just-
we're
is
not
there
in a
no
fairy
rational?
tale.
Is there
That's
no
right.
rational sect of the trans community? I don't know if I've ever heard someone in the trans community come out and agree with that sentiment. It's like, oh yes, no, we shouldn't be.
Oh no,
Yeah,
there
it
are.
exists.
Blair
There are.
White.
Oh yeah.
Blair White.
And there's a
Yeah.
bunch. There's a bunch of people who are trans who are like basically come out and say like, look, I know I'm not a woman. I know I'm a
Yeah.
man, and
Bro,
yeah,
you're
we
saying-
shouldn't be around kids. We shouldn't be competing in women's sports. There's a decent.
We
amount
shouldn't
of
be
them.
around kids at all.
Blair White
You know what
goes
I
to
mean?
these events where like trans
Yeah.
people, and she gets like called a Nazi and kicked out.
Yep.
It's
She-
because
well, she is
she's on the
Heimlich
wrong
Hitler
side.
with a huge cock.
that was a sculpture of
That was her right
ancient
there.
Blair White.
No, I think she's gone through the whole thing. It's like one day they're going to be able to manipulate chromosomes where you're not going to ever have to worry about that again. They're going to be able to change you to a woman. They're going to actually be able to do it. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it to us, but somebody's lifetime in the future. There's going to be
What do
people
you
that are
mean?
like,
What do you mean?
You know, people are like serial divorcees. They keep getting married and divorced. There's going to be people that go back and forth, man to woman, man to woman. They're just going to be pigs. They're just going to be dirty, greedy pigs that
Like-
just want to fuck and get fucked and just.
I was
every 4 or 5
'cause
years.
I fucked
Is it-
myself last week.
Instead of saying I was a whore or like a womanizer, he goes, I was a bit of a woman in my 20s, and then
Yeah.
I did my 30s as a guy.
Yeah, some women are going to be looking for men who've only been men the whole time.
Well,
I want
that's
you
the
to
shit that's
fucking
really weird. Is you
know.
get teenagers that like they change, and then a few years later they were like, "Oh yeah, it was a phase."
Of course, especially these poor girls that are getting mastectomies.
No, it's what I call it.
That's
goth.
the real-
It's like
that's
making
the real
it's,
thing.
it's making a
Fucking
choice of
insane.
goth at one point.
Yeah, imagine
Exactly.
you had eyeliner tattooed in your when you were 16.
The crazy thing is you don't let them get tattooed, but you will let them get gender alternating surgery, which is just bananas.
Is that
Both-
happening
by the
a
way-
lot
by the
though in
way,
this
both
country?
gender affirming? Excuse me, gender affirming surgery.
Not a lot of surgeries under 18. There is a lot, and when I say a lot,
Bro,
I think
if
tens of
there's
thousands
one,
of like
that's
the
a lot.
chemical shit, like the
All
the
of it, dude.
puberty
There's,
blockers.
there's
and stuff.
plenty of girls that are getting mastectomies very young. There's
Yeah.
photographs of them. If you're doing that before you're an adult, you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
It's insane.
It's insane.
And
It's
you're gonna-
insane. It's just nuts
Well,
that
there's
people are
also-
agreeing to it just to be kind.
Look, there's also a real debate with surgeries like that about whether that should be allowed even after you're an adult. And like, I'm not even
Of course,
saying
you
allowed.
should be allowed.
But
But shouldn't Steve-O be allowed to get fake tits if he wants to?
Yeah.
But listen,
I
I'm not
think
even
he
saying
opted
allowed.
out of that though.
Yeah, he got out of that.
He's not doing it.
Yeah, it was
Is
even
he
too
not
much
doing
for
it all
Steve-O.
now?
I think he thought it was dangerous.
Yeah. It was retarded.
Well, you also have to cut the muscle on a dude, I think.
All I'm saying is that's tough.
You have to go up in there. It's got to pump out. Yeah. I don't think
I think
he
Steve-O
was-
made the right call.
I
I
mean,
think
look,
so.
it would have been a great bit.
But I
I
think
would've
that's
left.
the only way it would have stuck out because I don't think he has enough tissue in the front
Yeah.
to give you like a traditional, regular type boob job.
All right, I'll do it. He goes,
But my
"Damn
point
it.
is, like,
next man up.
if you're a grown woman and you're 40 years old, you decide to get your boobs removed, who the fuck am I to say you shouldn't be able to
No,
do that?
listen, look, I'm a libertarian. I tend to agree with you, but if there was a doctor and you asked them to just like remove my fully functioning left arm because I identify as a one-armed person or
Right.
whatever, and doctors were like, no, I'm not. I'm unwilling to like perform
Right.
a surgery
Well,
on
I
you.
mean, they do
you
nose
would
jobs,
understand.
they do boob jobs,
Yeah,
they
I'm
do,
just
they
saying
do
there's-
so many elective surgeries that
well,
they,
there's
they
an
already
elective preventative surgery that a lot of women do if they think they have that gene for breast
yeah.
cancer.
That's what
That's
Angelina Jolie
right.
did.
That's a little different.
Okay, Steve-O was supposed to level of he said, but the person in the supermarket spoke to Steve-O about the level of oppression that the trans people face in a pretty heartbreaking way, which made him realize, wow, maybe it's not all fun and games. After this, he feared a stunt would seem like an exercise in celebrating violence against trans people, and he decided to call it off.
Oh, so that's why he called it off. I
Yeah.
thought it was just this is insane.
I'll tell you
Well,
what.
I don't
have
think
a feeling he was like, I don't want to do this, but then you can really get out of it by making a nice speech like that. It's pretty great.
That would be a good move because
It's a
otherwise
really
you're going to
great
ruin your
move.
tits forever. And then you'd have to go under another time to get them removed, and then you'd always have scars on your tits, and you're 50.
That's when someone goes, someone you're afraid to fight says they're going to fight you after school, and you go, it just when do we break the cycle of violence?
He was going to dress up and go to a biker rally. I guess that was part of it.
Oh, he thought he would get a crazy reaction out of a motorcycle riders who were checking me out before realizing who he was. I would have considered it to be better footage if I was to be beaten up at the motorcycle rally, he said. You know what? But the thing is, like, you could get fake tits put on you by prosthetic people. The same
Yeah.
people that did, like, the Penguin. You ever see, what's his name? the handsome
Danny-
fella,
Colin Farrell.
Colin
Yeah.
Farrell,
It's crazy.
handsome fella, right? They made him look disgusting for the Penguin. Like they can give you tits, bro. You don't have to get them.
Yeah, and it'll look indistinguishable.
Yeah,
if
and it's
you-
the same fucking stunt, Marilyn Manson. But though that's a painting, isn't it?
That was the prosthetic.
No, but it's also you didn't have nipples.
Is that something
on
he
it.
wear? Well, look, no cock
Video or
either.
Some shit.
Do you know there's people that are doing that?
What?
They're just getting castrated because people want to be nulls. They want to be nothing.
Is that a real thing?
Oh yeah, it's a real thing.
But isn't that
Yeah.
essentially what someone gets the surgery is doing?
Well, they were trying to get a hole.
Yeah,
and
they
then
don't want
get
to. They want a
they have
pussy.
to-
This is just like they become like
They just want
the
nothing.
Unsullied from
They
Game
want-
of Thrones.
Exactly. They want no cock, no balls, no nothing.
How do you pee?
Let's go, champ.
You don't
little
have to
hole,
pee, which
little
it
hole.
rules.
Piss out a little piss hole.
Just that's
Perhaps keep a little fucking Band-Aid over it for most of the day. I don't know.
Have a little cork
I
you
just,
put in it?
But I don't want you to do that. But if you're an American, I feel like you should have the freedom to do something stupid.
Yeah.
You know, I'm covered in tattoos. You want to get your dick chopped off? Who the fuck am I to tell you?
by
But
the
you're
way,
never
it's-
going to hear a thing where someone goes, "You cut your dick off." He goes, "Best thing I ever did."
Probably not. But some people just don't want
Well,
to be
there was that
around.
like Pain Olympics thing back in the day where the guys would mutilate their cocks, and you're like, "What do you? I mean, you only got one shot to slice your dick in half. Like that's it.
I saw plenty of those videos where guys just chop the head of their dicks
Yeah.
off with knives. You're like,
It's insane." It's like
What
you get.
doing,
I mean,
man?
how good is that orgasm? You get it one time ever.
I don't even think they're orgasming. They're soft. They're not slicing through a hard dick. They'd bleed out.
How good?
Just spray. It would just fucking spray.
All right, Joe, stop bringing science to the dumb conversation we're having.
Can you imagine what a terrible time to get your dick chopped off?
How good is the choking?
Full
Guys
blast.
break their dicks. They have sex, and then their
Oh,
dicks
yeah. I've
will
heard of that.
bend down.
Peyronie's
An
disease.
enthusiastic young lady might get a little bobbly on the top.
Damn.
And let it slip a little and taint slam you.
How can they
Crack
not
it.
tell?
Like Anderson Silva's shin.
How can these ladies not tell that they're at the end of the dick when they're jumping up so high?
They're having a
It's
good time, Jay. They're having a good time.
But you know we're walking on. I know when we're on the tightrope. When we're walking that tightrope, the come ups are coming up too high on her. You're like, hey, hang on.
I've had it happen a few times where, but I mean, obviously nothing, no real injury.
She might have been with that Heil Hitler dude before you. She's used to a little bit of travel in her suspension.
Probably.
She's like, "No, we got
I
plenty
can't
of
argue
time."
with that.
She wants that raptor type travel. Boom, boom. She wants some lift.
You should have that thing like on the back of your car where it's like, boop, 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 boop. Like, guys, we're getting close. We're getting
Right.
close here.
Just have some sort of a strapping system, you know, where you like you're spotting her, like you cinch her down. Okay, we got this much travel. That's it. Don't get crazy. So if we're gonna agree to this, you savage, trying to break my dick.
I wish my.
What a terrible way to break your dick too.
I wish my dick was big enough to break. Damn it!
There's a
Josh.
girl out there
bend
right
in
now
half.
and go, I could break it.
I'll break that cock.
I'll break
that cock right in half.
Break that fucking angry little
Guys,
dick.
while we have a lull, can I talk to you about my new propulsion system?
Hey!
Jamie, the PowerPoint presentation, please. It is so funny coming into this room and thinking of all the things I've watched that are made such like, whether it be the Cat Williams thing or fucking, I mean, that was wild. The one I just said, Terrence Howard.
Oh
God,
yeah,
that was
Terrence
fun.
Howard one's very interesting. He's a very, very smart guy. He just doesn't have a formal education in this stuff. So like when I had Brett Weinstein on the, Eric Weinstein on the podcast, Eric sort of explained to him the things that he's getting wrong, and explained to him, you got to stop teaching. You got to stop saying you're teaching people. This is very offensive to people like myself. He's like an actual super genius, and he's like, but they were talking about like crazy equations, and he was explaining the equations to him, and he's like, "Do you understand how to read this?" He's like having him go over the equations. So it was very interesting. So Terrence is like this super smart guy that's way smarter than anybody around him. But then the really super smart guys who are actually super smart guys who are educated about it, they don't engage with them. And so Eric was like, let me just talk to this dude. I think he's one of us. He's just gone astray. Just a brilliant guy who hasn't actually gotten the correct education in this stuff.
Well, I liked when he was doing he goes, well then Joe, you have to understand because the Fontugeles, it was like words that I don't think they were things. Maybe they were.
I think some of them were things, but the others, they're things that he invented. Like
So you name whatever you want.
Yeah. What is the invention of the flying? What does he call them again? When all those little components move together and it creates like he's got this. God, why it's at the tip of my tongue? Linchpin. So this thing that he created, it's like these. They're like geometric shapes, and they fit into each other, and each one of them has a fan in the circle of it. And through this thing, as a drone, it can move like in any direction. It's this very bizarre. And Weinstein was looking at it like, this is a very legit invention. Like, you came up with this?
That's crazy.
Like, see if you can find the videos of it. And so it's also, you could add more to it. It's not like one single shape. So they connect into each other, and you can keep adding more and more to it and give it more power and more maneuverability.
What's the utility for it?
It's drones. It's like you could have a drone that moves concrete bars. I mean, concrete blocks. You could have a drone that moves railroad ties, and it could fly them through the air. It's scalable. So this is the small version of it in operation, and it's all of those things that you see, those little geometric patterns. They're all individuals, and you can keep piling them on top of that, and connect it, and you can make them larger and smaller. It's a fascinating idea, and this is. The dude was in Iron Man. This is fucking hustle and flow.
And just like in his spare time, he just came up with this?
And he's got like some crazy amount of patents, man. The dude has like, what is it, 90-something patents he has? Something crazy. But this is all like his invention.
And
he's
no formal education?
Not to the level of like an Eric Weinstein, which is really all these people that are actually working on stuff. Generally, they have, you know, depending upon what the discipline is, they have a long education in traditional universities. And he's kind of like a self-taught genius.
Nah.
No, dude, he is, man. He's crazy smart. He's just not like, he's got to hang out with more people like him. You know what I mean? Like, he's too smart for anybody he knows.
This was
right.
This is what they said
He
about,
needs more Eric Weinstein.
This is what
more
they
people
said
that,
about Dave Smith a few years ago. We need
That's
more
true.
people.
Same thing.
Well, I was on the episode after the first time you had him on, and the episode with him was just insane. I mean, it was like the biggest thing on the internet, and almost 100% of the comments on my episode, the next one, were, "We want more Terrence Howard. Enough of this."
Dave, where's your propulsion
It's
system, you piece of
fun,
shit?
man. He's fun. It's
Dave,
fun.
can you invent an Uber to get into and get the fuck out of here?
I did. It doesn't go to the right address, but I did invent an Uber.
Yeah, it's fun. Those things are fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to hear people like come up with these wacky theories, and but he has some great ideas, man. And one of them is the idea that all the planets are coming from like stuff that's jettisoned off the sun. Like, his theory about the creation of solar systems is very bizarre. And it's really interesting. He thinks that a planet gets to a certain distance after a certain amount of time from the sun where it can develop life. And then that life evolves as quickly as it can, because it's going to eventually, over the next 100 million, 200 million years, it's going to be further and further and further out to space, and it's not going to be habitable anymore. So you're going to have to figure out a way to make your own environment, or you're going to perish. And every planet goes through a transitionary period. It's called peopling. When a planet gets to a certain distance, these hominids start figuring out things and figuring out tools and engines and civilization and agriculture and then electronics, and then they have to get to a point where they realize, like, this planet keeps moving away from the sun. We are fucked. We have to figure out artificial environments. We have to figure out interstellar travel. We have to figure out how to fucking populate other worlds.
So that's where we're at right now.
We're like 100,000 years away from it being a problem.
This is brought to us by Terrence fucking Howard.
Yeah, but his theory about planets is fascinating, because nobody really knows why planets are formed. How there's a distance from the sun, and you could figure there's a thing called Bode's law. Where you could figure out roughly by the size of one planet when another planet's going to exist, and that's where they look.
His voice is too cool to be a nerd. That's what I think the problem, the disconnect I have is. He's like, come on, Joe, it's simple.
Too cool,
Hydrogen
too handsome.
plus nitrogen makes everything fly.
Well, he does that thing where, especially because most of us aren't people who even think about this stuff. So then when he's saying it, like when he was saying the whole thing, when he was on with you about how the periodic table shouldn't be squares, it should be circle, and he had like a really good argument for it. And I remember just being like, that does sound really impressive.
Weinstein agrees with him.
Well, that's what the thing is. Then like when you see someone like Eric Weinstein go like, oh yeah, he's got a good point about this, you're like, wait, seriously?
Yeah.
He's nailing it? All right.
He's
Neil deGrasse Tyson
fucking
said,
genius,
no,
man. Terrence Howard is fucking genius. He's just, sometimes guys are too smart for everybody around them, and they just get off on the wrong track. And, and if you're used to being the smartest guy in the room, and then all of a sudden you're talking to a guy who's like spooky smart, it's it's a little unsettling. It's like a guy who tells you he's a comic. He's telling everybody he's a comic. Hey, Mike is a comic. Mike who works down and then you meet Mike and you're like, how long you been doing comedy? Well, I've done a couple open mic nights. And like, oh, okay. You're not really a comic, right?
Right.
You're not making a living. Like you're not getting paid.
Well, I don't have any money for Terrence Howard and his projects. I gave it all to Eddie Winslow from Family Matters to clean up the ocean machine he's building.
There is a kid that's cleaning up the ocean. What's that kid's name? Boyan Slot. You ever seen that machine he's invented?
His name is Buoyant?
Boyan.
Oh, I was like, that's funny.
That's so on the
How
nose.
ironic.
His name's Wave Runner
I
Johnson.
never even thought of that until you said it. That's hilarious. I've even had him on the show. Boyan Slot. He was like 19 when he invented this. He invented this gigantic skimmer that's been scooping stuff off the ocean, and then they turn the plastic into like sunglasses and shit, which will eventually find their way back in the ocean.
Sure. That's out for a little bit at least.
They make stuff which
He
will
was-
find
he
their
was
way to
19.
landfills.
That's really great. Dude, 19.
Dude, super fucking smart, like spooky smart kid. Just said, this is what I want to dedicate my life to. See if you get a video of how they do it. It's pretty wild. But they've already cleaned up a significant amount, and they have this proposal to make and scale the thing up and make it huge, and they think they can clean up the whole garbage patch within the next decade or so.
It's incredible.
It's nuts, but it's nuts that the fucking thing existed and plastic's only been around for like how long? 100 years?
Yeah.
And we already have a Texas-sized chunk of it sitting in the middle of the fucking ocean.
Yeah, people are great. We're the
people-
best.
I know people also make things that young and get this kind of thing. I feel like their later in life lash out is what ends up being crazy.
Oh yeah, it's going to be all
Because
coke and hookers.
they gave up all their fun stuff, so then it just gets too wild afterwards.
Right, he's going to get all that eco pussy too.
Oh yeah, Once you shave those bitches down, there's usually something hot under there.
It's usually the kind of gals that are willing to throw paint on statues and glue themselves to the floor. No more oil.
So this just all sitting in the ocean.
Yeah, so he scoops all this stuff out with each run of this, and this is just one haul, and they just continue to do this, and then they crane it and pack it and turn it into different objects and stuff, and you could buy that stuff.
That's fun.
It's a good thing. I
Is
mean,
3D
but those
printing
situations,
bad for
either
the
that goes
environment?
great, and he becomes a cokehead partier a little bit later, or he dies like a whale ate him like while he was helping clean up the thing.
I was watching this thing on Singapore and how well Singapore recycles. It's incredible. Singapore takes all of their garbage, they pick it up like multiple times. They have this insane facility where they sort it out. They find out what's plastic, what's this, what's that. They use the plastic and they figure out some way to use it to make power, to generate power by burning it. And they have this insane filtration system that stops it from polluting the air. And then they take it and they grind a lot of this stuff down and they use it to make roads with it. And they like recycle everything.
Isn't our recycling bullshit?
Bullshit.
I remember reading about this years
Bullshit.
ago, that our
And
recycling
it
is all
pisses
just
me off
bullshit.
every time I put stuff into my recycling. It makes me so angry because I read like 10% of it gets actually recycled.
Yeah, we thought we were good people. We're just getting scammed. He's getting scammed to buy a fucking blue dumpster.
What is the point of it though? What is the whole scam? I don't understand why
Scam
they
is
do
it's
it.
too expensive to convert.
There was
like
one
Singapore
rich
does
guy
it.
sitting on a bunch of blue garbage cans.
See if you can find something on how Singapore does it. I know I saved it. If you want me to find it,
You're saying they do a good job.
incredible. They fucking recycle everything. They have like this insanely efficient way of taking the plastic and reutilizing it and using it to like fill streets and pave roads and build things, and they're using all of it. Whereas we're just fucking sticking it in the ground. Somebody else will figure it out. We'll cover it up with dirt.
Singapore looks like it's made of Legos. It's just plastic everywhere.
It's pretty nuts, man. No, it's pretty.
They also
fucking-
polluted
it's
the
pretty
ocean with
fucking
that
beautiful.
plane.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, human beings are fucking weird. We are weird.
Do you remember how much you used to litter back in the day? In the 90s? Dude, I would fucking, anytime I had like a Coca-Cola cup, I'd just throw it right out the window.
I don't give a shit.
So this is-
full bags of trash is on the highway side.
So it used to be a big problem. So they used to have a big trash problem, apparently. And that's what led them to this insane, like super efficient version of recycling and super thorough. Pretty interesting shit, man.
Waste generated. Oh, we're making a lot of waste.
Yeah, we make plenty of waste, son. That's what America does, motherfucker. If you don't like it, you can move to China.
Yeah,
We
You're
must
Singapore, you get
lead
my
the
piss
world.
and shit.
Yeah, so they take it and they burn it, and that burning it is what powers electricity. It's like, it's really insanely efficient. And then again, they use it for all kinds of stuff. But the point is they utilize all the trash, and that's what we're supposed to be doing. But there's a bunch of knuckleheads, the same knuckleheads that are in charge of the homeless, and the homelessness just keeps growing, and they need more. We need more funds to deal with this issue that we can't deal with. It's the same fucking thing. If you had private companies that were incentivized to collect all the plastic, and that they could take that plastic and use it for all kinds of things, and
That's right.
yeah.
All you got to do is set up the incentives, and human beings figure it out. All you got to do is go, if you solve this problem, you can become a billionaire. And then some genius will figure it out to become a billionaire.
Isn't that interesting? We're not willing to give the private sector access to garbage so much that we'll let them pretend they're recycling and just stick stuff in the ground that's plastic because it's not cost effective to turn it into things.
Can sanitation be one of the last mafia-run businesses?
Well, it's run by a section of the government, right? But it's like if you were competing against Singapore, you would lose. Okay? If like one city was run by Singapore, if like Chicago was run by Singapore, but Detroit was run by people who do it right now. And you had to figure out which way is better for the city, which way looks better, which way is more efficient, which way actually like creates less overall waste because you just recycle it and reuse it, and it actually works as an asset and a commodity. Wouldn't that be better? Like, if somebody could do it, you could do it. But the problem is there's no fucking incentive.
There's probably so much infrastructure within all of these. Like, it's just been however many years that we've been having this system of sanitation that it's just like to try to change that in any sort of like abrupt way is like insane. What do you even do? I remember there was a landfill near my house. We would go we would ride our bikes down to the train tracks and find the landfill, and it was just piles and piles and piles of garbage.
It's basically the modern version of what it was like to live in a city with horses shit in the streets.
Yeah.
It's like a mild version of it.
Well, it just wasn't like much thought put into like the down the road times. Now it's just these weird.
Not only that, it gets into the water. You know, when you just dump a bunch of shit on the ground like that, you know, you're allowed to have a place where you just fill it in. What about the water that's running under that? Like, what happens there?
Liquid death.
Yeah.
It's the most heavy metal water.
Becomes liquid death water.
Yeah, there's like so much fucked up in how we do things and not course correcting.
But I mean, is it so with the recycling thing? Is it just designed to fine us for not recycling and create more revenue streams?
I think initially they had this idea that that's what they were going to do, that they were going to recycle things, and they do recycle bottles and they do recycle cans because it's cost effective. The problem with plastic, it's not cost effective to recycle. So 90% of it or something in the range of that gets thrown in the ground. They just put it in the dirt. Which is the fucking worst. Like, why are you making me separate garbage if you just get it? Can I just put plastic? Can we just admit? And I'll just put plastic bottles in the garbage now because that's what I've been doing. I kind of gave up. I gave up on your little bullshit charade. I'm not going to be a part of this if I know you're not doing it.
Well, there is. I see like there's like a rule follow for a while. Like people, it's so funny I just kind of see the results, but I don't know what the actual fight is. Like sometimes in New York, there's plastic bags everywhere, and then one time they'll tell you, no, they're completely illegal now, plastic, and then a month later there is plastic bags
again.
So
you want to kill the trees
in New York? Well, during the pandemic, they kind of because they made that law maybe 6 months before the pandemic, and they were like, no more plastic bags, only paper. And then the pandemic hit, and they were like, all right, we need to figure out priorities here. And then they started using plastic bags again. But in New Jersey, you have to, when I go to ShopRite, I have to pay for new reusable bags every time. They no longer give even paper.
Now I got a bunch of those. I'm never going to recycle.
They're good for lighting fires, the paper ones. Want to start a little fire in your fireplace, crumple up some of those paper bags, stick it under there.
It is like at the airport they'll do that with the big paper bags, and they charge you for the paper bags. It's not like bags were always free.
Do you know
I existed for 30 years on this planet of bags.
I think it just makes you think about it like every time. 1 out of every 100 people remember to bring their own shopping bags. What type of fucking nerd brings their own shopping bags?
Your own shopping bags. Such a fucking dork. Paper bags are good, man, but they kill trees.
I said to my girlfriend a bunch to the store when she's been like, oh, let's go. And well, wait, I'm gonna run back to the apartment. I forgot to get the bags. I'm like, we're gonna buy a new. I'm not walking already with your bags.
You know what the biggest scam going is? The paper bag industry, because they should all be hemp paper bags. If they were all hemp paper bags, they would be 100 times better. They'd be so much stronger. You wouldn't have to chop down a tree to do it. You chop down a stalk of a plant that doesn't even make weed. You know, they have them where there's no THC in them at all. And you make gigantic fucking chunks of this paper that's almost indestructible. It's so different. You can barely tear it.
Is it cheaper? No.
Sure, it would be cheaper if you had the infrastructure, because you could like, say if you have an acre of trees and you chop them down, it's going to be fucking years before you can chop down the new ones that you plant afterwards. It takes forever for them to grow. But hemp, you can redo it every fucking few months.
Yeah,
that shit grows like a weed.
Wasn't it a big part of why like weed was made illegal, because they didn't want the competition from hemp or something like
100%,
that?
100%. It was William Randolph Hearst.
Right.
He was the Reefer Madness guy, along with Harry Anslinger. They demonized it as a commodity. If we had like true freedom in terms of like use the best plants to do stuff, that would be one of the number one. Forget about the weed argument. The number one thing is hemp. It's so much better paper. It's almost it's like it's really strong, like in a weird way. Like if you have a piece of hemp paper, you're like, what the fuck, man?
But hemp's legal now, right? Everywhere, just hemp paper, hemp clothing.
It's been suppressed for so fucking long that the infrastructure is not really available to compete with like regular paper, or to compete with. I mean, they're making hemp clothes. It's sort of an oddity.
That was always like a hippie thing. Like if you could find like even
Woody
before it was
Harrelson.
legal.
Woody Harrelson was real big on hemp for a long time. Yeah.
It's way better. There's a company called Datsusara. They make hemp geese. They're the best geese, man. They don't rip. Cotton geese rip. They rip all these hemp geese are like indestructible. The only thing that gives out on them is the threads give out.
I feel like you don't want to get caught in a hemp gee choke, though. I'd much rather just like a regular gee than a hemp gee.
Like, dude, I forgot to tap.
The only geese that rip are old ones, man. A regular gee will fuck you up.
I read a thing about spider silk earlier today. As we're talking about like materials, apparently spider silk is like one of the most strong. Like if they make actual clothing and like garments out of it, and it's like
I believe that because you get caught in one string of it, and it's like on you for 5 minutes. You can't get it off you. Like,
ew.
Imagine if that was as thick as like a power line.
Yeah, it's 1/5 as thick as a human hair, or 1/10 as thick as a human hair, and there was a team of guys who spent 5 years like. I don't know, milking spiders, but they were like using, they were getting the silk out of these spiders, and they made this like big fucking gown with it, and it was, I don't know, one viral.
Well, you know, there's a thing they're trying to do. Okay, they're saying the human side, silk is used to make bulletproof clothing. There's a thing they're trying to do now, though, where they're trying to make human skin. And you know how they can kind of splice genetics together? They want to make human skin that is made with this gene for this spider silk. So see if you can find that. So what they're trying to do
is how you end up in a superhero movie, man.
Literally
this is
develop
the plot of Gremlins 2. Remember, he became
human
a spider.
skin. I mean, this right now it's theoretical, but if you think about what they're going to be able to do medically just in the next decade or two, especially with the AI stuff that's coming.
Oh, that's the scary shit.
It's the scary shit. Yeah. As soon as they start integrating humans with that stuff, they're going to come up with all sorts of solutions to all sorts of problems, and one of them is going to be non-bulletproof skin. Like, instead of stopping crime, we're going to just like make everybody mandatory, just like you get vaccinated. Everybody's going to have to get bulletproof skin, so we don't have to worry about gun violence anymore. It just doesn't work anymore.
We're just shooting each other in the head like Wolverine.
We're going to evolve through technology.
We can't afford bulletproof
We're going to all look like turtles. We're all
already there,
like
Joe.
Ninja Turtles in the future. We're all going to be like covered with armor. And it'll be just wild kingdom out there in the streets. Every day's a fucking street takeover.
Philadelphia street takeover.
Maybe that's how we get out of this. You know, like humans had to figure out opposable thumbs to be able to throw spears. Maybe at one point in time we have to just grow armor. We're not going to fix this problem of violence.
It would be pretty badass.
Yeah.
To just have you, especially if you're the first human with it. Like if you get to be the first one who's got armor.
Well, like for real, how the fuck did a turtle become a turtle? How long did that take? And what
I'm
the
guessing
fuck was
a while.
going on?
I think it was a rat found him in the sewers. He taught him karate.
Let's see. I won him at a carnival.
But think of all the animals that are so vulnerable, and this one motherfucker goes, you know what? I got an idea. And somehow or another, over the course of who knows how many fucking million years, it becomes a goddamn turtle. And it's such a good design
You
that
ever
it
see
hasn't changed in
videos
forever.
of like alligators and crocodiles just fucking smashing through turtles, just like a cookie?
Saltwater crocs, just crushing them up like they're nothing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so
Smashing the shell.
disgusting.
It's brutal.
Yeah, see if you can find a video of
Well,
that.
I've tracked. So the Bulletproof Skin was a story from 2012. It
Yeah.
was a project with an artist. I don't know that they were actually ever trying to do
That's
this.
a fucking CIA cover.
I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find anything newer
They're going
than
to cover Jason Bourne with Bulletproof Skin first. And they're going to say, Jesus Christ, that's Jason Bourne with Bulletproof Skin.
Had to do with
Inspiration for
Genghis
this
Khan.
project. Oh, Genghis Khan wanted it. Of course he wanted it. This legendary emperor is said to have issued his horsemen with silk vests, as an arrow hitting silk does not break it, but ends up embedded in the flesh wrapped in silk. Interesting. Wow. So the silk was so strong that the arrows would just go into your skin through this, and you wouldn't get hit. It's like a Kevlar. So you'd still get fucked up, but you wouldn't get full penetration. It wouldn't penetrate. Wow.
Silk.
That's
Lewis, I'm gonna buy
crazy.
you a silk shirt and shoot you with an arrow.
That's crazy. Those arrows sucked. Those broadheads sucked.
Yeah, Joe Rogan could fucking shoot somebody with a silk shirt on.
You could not do that today. Yeah, there's a different. I don't know what kind of silk they had, but a modern day broadhead, those things are horrifying.
Well, I don't understand it, but it can't just be like a silk T-shirt. They had to have some type of thick silk, even for arrows back then. What was it?
Yeah, it must have been really thick because they were powerful bows too, especially the Mongols. The Mongols had these insane bows that took like 160 pounds to draw back, and they were famous for like when they looked at their skeletons, their bones, the one side of their body was like deformed because they were pulling like with the right arm their whole life. So their
Right.
whole spine and everything is they have like giant bones in their shoulders and arms. Like their whole body developed to pull this fucking insane bow back. So that kind of a bow has crazy power behind it with this bullshit homemade arrow and these fucking whatever kind of heads they were using
Dude, that
back
would
then.
suck to put all that effort into pulling the bow and then silk takes it out. You're like, I did that for nothing. I got beat by silk.
I wonder if it would work with their bows. I wonder if that was just for the enemy's bows. Because the Mongols were so advanced militarily, which is really bizarre. That there's like one dude's group who likes to live in tents decide to literally take over the fucking world and would have done it. Got pretty close.
Yeah.
They killed 10% of the people on the fucking planet during his lifetime.
All people like that always have weird facial hair.
There is, however, little historical basis to this. What is it? The silk shirt claim? Oh, okay. You've likely heard the claim that Mongols
Bring
wore
it up.
silk shirts.
This is bullshit.
Hey, Jamie,
House.
can you stop making us look like assholes at every
Jimmy,
chance?
bring up a thing that tells me I was wrong from front to back.
There is, however, little historical basis. No primary source can be found containing the statement. The earliest mention of it in relation to the Mongols comes from Michael Prodin's 1934 De Genghis Khan Der Sturm aus Eisen Proudin. Did I get that right? Eager to give Mongols every technological edge over their foes, appears to have assumed the Mongols as a warrior race would only have worn silk for military purposes. But is there any historical depictions of silk stopping arrows? See if you can find that.
When I was
Maybe the Mongols didn't do it, or maybe it was like a theory.
the AI from Google says that they wore silk underclothes to help prevent blood loss from arrows, and that they had armor that was sewn together with silk, but there was some sort of plates.
That
Also,
makes much
silk
more
underwear.
sense.
Oh, so it's like, yeah,
Figure
under the
someone's
armor
being
was
kissed
silk.
by God.
Just like the samurai outfits. Well, they have
The
these
mesh,
plates,
right,
and they
right.
have the mesh under the plate so they can
Yeah.
move around. We have one of those samurai outfits out there. It's a real one from the 1800s.
Really?
It's freaky. It's freaky to think these dudes.
Joe had
just-
to use this time machine to go get it.
You can buy them. Took a long time. Onnit actually got for me as a gift. It takes it's like a pain in the ass to get it over here.
I'd imagine that's
Yeah.
a tough thing to buy. Yeah.
It's a weird
like a
thing.
museum
to buy.
piece.
We
It's like a
talked about
museum
doing,
piece.
so they do these like medieval fights, like it's almost like MMA and like medieval gear.
Yeah.
And we talked about doing it at Skankfest, but to ship the armor to Vegas from wherever they were, it would be so expensive. We'd have to. It would make more sense to drive it out in a van, just like
Yeah.
with a team of people.
You've seen those Russian videos where those guys beat the fuck out of each other with
Yeah,
swords.
that's what it is. Yeah.
Dude, don't do that, Lewis. I can't believe I have to tell you don't do that. Please
You
don't
got
do that.
armor, dude.
Yeah.
And I got a sword.
Bro, you're going to get hit in the head with a sword. You're going to forget all your jokes.
No, it's all right. I got no.
It's not fresh.
I got him.
Bro, imagine how much a sword weighs.
No, I got him a spider silk hat. He's fine.
Even if you have that helmet on, imagine how much a fucking sword weighs and it's hit you in the
Well,
head.
the armor is like 120 pounds, 130
Right,
pounds.
but how
just
much would you need around your head to let someone hit you in the head with a sword? I'd need a lot more than that, son.
Yeah, more than that.
A lot more than
Oh,
that.
that would be fun, though.
Bro, you get a shield to the head. You're getting CT motherfucking E. You can pretend that you're protected. You are not protected from that
Go.
rattle, son.
Jesus
Lewis,
You get-
Lewis,
look
do
at
you
the
still
dents.
remember your jokes?
Look at the dents in that guy's helmet where he's got hit in the head with a fucking sword.
M1 Medieval. That's
This
yeah, promotion.
fucking rules.
And they're doing it live for what I would describe as not that many people.
Yeah, 45 people in the crowd.
I know, but if I went to this, I would go home and I go, I can't believe there's only 45 people in this thing. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Jay
in
would
my
have a
life.
giant turkey leg and a giant goblet.
Guys, they got everything. Renaissance Fair. They got the dart game where you can win the animal.
Bro, this is
I'm going
crazy.
back.
Look at this. He's on top of
Yeah,
him.
dude, they do ground and
dude.
pound.
beating
It's
him
nuts.
with his shield.
Oh my God.
This is a weapon. He's
It's me and
beating him
Harrington.
with his weapon.
That
That's
night,
insane, man.
that night had really good top control.
Bro, that
Lewis,
guy got
are you okay?
shit
Fucked up.
fucked up. That
Are
the
you
ki-
okay? Yee.
That kind of weight dropping down on your head with that big ass fucking shield.
And look, this virgin is going to take his helmet off. Hello, hi guys.
Thank you, everybody.
You also have to
It's been a
take into
pleasure
account.
performing for you.
You got to take into account the weight of all that armor on his arm and how much more that's driving down the impact of it.
Yeah, just coming down.
Yeah, all that weight because it's all covered in steel, and then he has this big ass fucking shield and steel gloves on, and he's coming down on your head with that over and over and over again.
You think that's
That's a
more
terrible
dangerous
idea.
than MMA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That guy might got it real fucked up. Like a different kind of, like a cracked skull type fucked up.
They fed him to a dragon afterwards.
I mean, that could
You're
kill.
dragging
That like
me,
seems
kid.
like that could kill somebody. Like that doesn't seem like, even with armor on, I don't believe that you can be okay from getting hit like that in the head.
Well, also all the shit from from the NFL is like. It's like the helmet doesn't really matter because if you're when it's
Right.
cracking against your head and you're rattling around,
How
it's
good
still
could that helmet be where you would
not
let a
great.
dude with a shield and an iron
Not good
fucking
enough.
sleeve on slam down on your head over and over and over again? That could crack your skull.
I
I'd rather
completely
do
agree
that
with you.
than
At the
slap
same
box with an MMA person.
Yeah, dude.
Bro, there's no way that's good
I would
for
do
you.
that over power slap any day of the week.
Oh yeah.
Would you?
Oh, my
Look at-
God.
Oh
Yeah.
my god! Look at these guys have fucking
Oh,
axes,
particularly
man.
this one. This is the one I want to do.
Bro,
Big
this is so insane. This is so fucking
Lewis,
insane.
let's me and you fight this game with spears with,
Let's
with
go,
long
dude.
axes.
Here's the
I got to
thing,
run to the
though.
bathroom.
ref's giant
Don't do
flag.
this, you two. And I do want to watch a full pay-per-view of this now.
It does look great.
This does rule.
Here's the thing: if you allowed these guys to have no armor, dudes would sign up. If you decided you're going to have a full sword fight version of this with no armor, guys would show up
Look at the
with a
punches.
fucking bikini on, ready to slice you up. If we decided one day, if some crazy country, some fucking warlord, dictator type dude decided to have actual sword fights with no armor on, dudes would do it. There's enough psychotic men out there that
They'll
would
just
sign
jump
up for
into
that.
something.
Yeah,
for sure.
they would do
There
it.
was back in the day. There was we used to watch felony fights, dude.
Oh yeah,
And those guys would they would give the two guys nunchucks and like just beat the shit out of each other in a parking lot, and just two fucking Mexican guys wailing on each other.
I remember this Mexican
how many
dude
people-
fucked this white dude up, and he was a good boxer, and he cracked him and knocked him out. And then when he got him on the ground, he kept dropping knees on his unconscious
Oh, and
head.
he was like,
you know that one?
yeah, where he was breathing
oh
like
my
crazy. It was
God,
really brutal.
Horrible.
Yeah.
It was horrible. Like
Yeah,
making-
the sound.
like seizing up and shit. Like
I was listening to Howard Stern the other day. It was an old one where they were talking the people that were
good old days.
the people that were trying to get on like the one-way trip to Mars. They were going to try to do it. One was from the years like 2012, and they said it wasn't going to go until 2020 something, which I don't think it ever ended up happening. But like they said it was thousands of people were trying to get on that mission.
One way trip to die on Mars. Yeah,
Yeah.
thousands.
Oh, to die.
Yeah.
But I said it had to be whittled down. By the way, it's being whittled down to like 16 people. So it was not a lot of people, but they was like, oh yeah, you had to go through, and it's like, how many doctors and all? It's pretty crazy. Like how much people are willing to do some shit.
Nutty
like that.
people, bro. There's a lot of people out there that want to end it.
They
Just
said
like
they
this is
said-
the
they
guy
said
that
you
want to
pro-
be null.
They said for sure you. They said well not for sure, but they said odds are you definitely will never make it to Mars. And if you get there, it's everything just kind of like you're probably going to die en route. It takes
You're always going to have people that want to sign up for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, just like whatever the thing is. There's like, remember back in the day, it was a big thing in New York in the 90s. There were bug chasers. It was like a sect of the gay community that was trying to get AIDS.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. There's a great series on Netflix right now called The Terror, and it's about these guys that try to cross the ice paths in like the 1800s, and they never make it. Spoiler alert. It gets fucking dark, dude.
Yeah.
It gets dark.
Well,
These dudes
people
just
do-
got stranded on a boat with other guys, and of course they start eating each other. The real story. It's based on a real story. These gentlemen actually did do this, and they didn't find their body. They didn't find anything till like years and years later. They went and they found clear evidence of like people getting cut up.
What was the time period?
1800s. They just thought they were slick and they're going to make it across. And it was a particularly cold winter, and the ice never thawed in that area, and they just got stuck there. They just got stuck, and then the ice developed all around them, and they were there for years.
I mean, that's like a thing of survival, which I understand. But you see people that go to like, what's the big
Fish concert and start eating each other. There was no snacks.
What's the mountain? The tallest one, the hardest one to
Everest?
climb. Yeah, dude,
Olympus.
Everest. Dude, you see those videos of like the bodies that are like the bodies are now markers. Like you get to a certain, like name a guy like Jim. It's like that's Jim. He is when you're at however many feet high.
Yeah.
And there's no way to get their bodies back down, so they just
You have to
stay there
leave 'em
frozen.
there. You have to leave them there. No one can retrieve them and stay alive. It's too dangerous.
That's wild.
It's fucking nuts, man. You could find like one of the first guys that ever died up there. He's like it's all white. It looks like a statue, and he's face down on the rock, frozen.
And they don't touch the.
See if you can find the image. The image is.
I mean,
is
somebody must.
haunting because
There
it's
hasn't
there
been
for
one
anybody
person
to
who
see.
can climb it who can like.
No.
No, I'm saying that one person that can climb it that can like that's done like something shitty to the stuff up there.
Yeah, make him suck his own
Probably
dick.
if you guys
Kick the
jerked
head
off.
off. Yeah.
You know, when you were kids, you take like the reindeer on people's lawns and put them in different
Yes.
positions.
Look at this. This guy's dead. But there's one that one in the lower left-hand corner, Jamie. Lower
Jesus.
left-hand corner. That one. That's the one. Look at that.
Wow.
Bro. Imagine walking past that and go, yeah, that guy's a pussy. And what? I'm going to fucking make it up there, and I'm going to come back down. I'm going to jerk off on its back
That's his skin.
with a fucking Chicago Bulls hat on.
So he's
Imagine-
completely frozen.
Yeah, he's frozen. He's dead forever. He's been dead for a long time. Look, that guy's got old-ass clothes on that have been just slowly worn away by time.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Look at his regular picture from the 70s.
But this is what happens. Like people die. Like you'll be in a group and somebody dies, and you go, "Well, guys, we have to leave him." And you're like, "What? That's my
Not
cousin."
only that, you have to leave them while they're dying,
Yeah.
or you could die.
Yeah.
Like you can't help them. You have to just go.
And they're
Which
just
is-
going to die a slow death.
Look at these guys got trapped.
I can't believe how many people agreed
That guy-
to like
imagine
do
that guy
like
died
death
like that.
sentences, but like then there's something like the submersible thing that was just like everyone was like cheersing champagne, like this is the best, and then it just ends immediately.
Oh, they saved that guy. Look how he got trapped.
Oh my god! Imagine getting trapped like that, and that's it. You just slowly die like that.
Wishing you could just get shot in the head and not have to
Please.
slowly die.
That's so insane. It's all so insane, and it's just to get to the top to say you got there.
I mean, is it how exhilarating? It has to be so. I bet it's not that great.
Well, it's probably you realize you could do something very difficult, which a lot of people have a desire to do, and it's also a bragging right for a lot of dickheads. There's a lot of dickheads. I want to tell you, I've been in Nepal. I went up to Everest. I really helped the community. You know, there's a lot of people that just do it for street
Wrote an
cred.
acoustic guitar song up there. It's pretty gay.
Some people they just want to fucking challenge themselves though in some insane way where they might die.
I think it's when you don't have kids. Any of
Oh,
those things like skydiving. I always wanted to skydive, and I'm terrified of heights. But as soon as I had a kid, I was like, I'm not
No, I'm
jumping
the
out of a
same.
plane.
I'm the same. Unnecessary risk. And I said now as my daughter's older too, like having that thing where it's like now she'd have to be like, what happened to your dad? Like his
Motorbike
chute
riding.
didn't open. Yeah, exactly. Motorcycle. It's like he turned. It was raining and he turned on his motorcycle a little too fast.
Oh, I did. I
Boys.
was going to get a motorcycle license. I was sitting in traffic, and
Me
I'm
too.
just watching cars or motorcycles zip between me, and I was like, dude, I got to get a motorcycle. And it was maybe the 5th time that I crashed my car in 2022 that I was like, this is going to be the death of me.
Lewis had a moment where he was like, I don't think I should do armored fighting or get a motorcycle. Maybe neither of these are good
Gentlemen,
ideas.
I have to trust you because I have to pee. So keep chatting amongst
Okay,
yourselves.
nice.
Don't fuck up my show.
No,
Come
we
on.
won't.
Okay,
We'll do.
Don't get me in
listen.
trouble.
It's no. You're leaving the number one show in the number one show in the world being left in the hands of the Legion of Skanks. What could possibly go wrong?
Let's take calls.
Lewis?
Jamie, open the phone lines.
What if it just turns out there's been phone lines the entire time? Just people have been waiting to get on. What
We got Jim on 3. Says he got some new ideas for the show.
It's all way behind. It's all a guy who's like, I want to say something to Brian Redban. You're years late, sir.
Yes, I've been on hold for 17 years.
This is going well, guys.
What do you guys think?
I think he's going pretty well so
Does
far.
he like us? And when I say us, I mean you two.
I think this Joe fella has a future in broadcasting.
Oh yeah, he's
Stick
doing
with it.
all right. He's doing all right. I'll give him some notes, but man, I'll tell you what though, his like on air stuff, his accoutrement to the table is very different than ours.
It's cooler than ours. We just have a racist bear.
We have a racist.
I like to think we're getting there.
Yeah.
We are, but no one's ever made us art out of drums or stuff like that.
Yeah, this is all really cool stuff. This is an actual dinosaur head.
It's a real skull.
Yeah, he was like, dude, this is actually a real UFO. We actually went to Mars and found a miniature UFO.
Oh, isn't this like a Tyrannosaurus windpipe or something? I don't even think I'm wrong about that. I think it's something like that.
Jamie, is that what we're looking at?
There might be a walrus dick up there somewhere.
It does kind of look like a walrus dick now that you mention it.
That was pulled out of the permafrost in Alaska.
This was.
Yeah, see how it's like shaved or sawn there? That was no one knows why. It's all flat like that.
That's the cock.
Dude, if I steal the thing from the permafrost.
Everybody take a little thing. Dave, take a commemorative coin. I'm going to take Dice's cigarette.
Nah, I don't need to steal anything. I'll be back.
Maybe we should leave something.
Shit.
Yeah, Dave. Dave, we really dumb you down for this show, huh?
Oh, we're having fun, boys.
No,
I don't think
wait.
so.
Jamie was telling us about this unfrozen walrus dick or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bone. That's
it?
not. Oh no, it's not. We actually have a walrus. What is it? What kind of bone is it? What kind of bone is it?
The walrus dick bone.
The walrus dick bone. Where is that? Is that in the other studio?
Could be. If it's not up there, it's in the other one. Yeah.
We got a walrus dick.
Is
bone.
it not very big? It's very.
It's fucking huge. It's giant. It's
Wait,
like this
the
big.
walrus sticks actually have bones?
Yeah. What is it called? The proboscis.
Lewis,
What is it called?
read a
Something like
book,
that.
dude.
Isn't that a nose? Isn't it proboscis a nose?
Can you not slow down this podcast with
Baculum,
dumb
that's right,
questions like
baculum.
that?
It's called a baculum. It's bone. That's it. That's what they look like.
That's-
They're giant.
And that's an actual walrus's cock.
Yeah.
That's why they're always hailing Hitler. Big fatsy.
Yeah, it's actually a bone because nature doesn't have time for your hard-ons. You get a bone. With us, it's like too complicated. Raise kids, like you got to be really into this. I want you to be like in the mood,
Yeah.
fully committed.
Wait, do dogs have bones or they
Yeah,
have
the
dicks
dogs
like
have
us?
bones.
No.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, dogs
Didn't they
have
find
bones.
out? Isn't it a recent?
Are you fucking with me right now, Joe?
I think cats have bones. I don't know if dogs have bones.
Isn't there?
Don't they all have
Isn't
bones?
the Loch Ness monster actually like a whale flipping upside down and his cock coming out of the water?
Ah,
I've heard that,
the Loch Ness monster photo, the famous one, is fake as fuck.
but they said it's actually
Do dogs have
if
dick
you see a
bones?
whale
I think they
flipping
do.
over on its back and its dick comes out,
I'm
it's
obsessed.
what it looks like. They said it probably much could have been that.
Nah, it's horseshit. Or it's a sturgeon, probably a sturgeon.
Canine baculum.
Yeah, yes, they have dog dicks.
They have
dogs
fucking
have a bone in their
bones.
penis.
Dick bone, I
Yeah, it's called so they have the same thing, baculum.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste like it has a bone in it.
I think it's only us. I think that we're the chimps and the primates are the only ones that God doesn't trust. Like you can't have a bone.
That is just
Yeah,
You would
blood.
just use it all day long. You'd never build houses.
It's a good. God made the right call on that one.
100%.
You don't want to give us a bone.
It's too easy for us to fuck, so the bone dies off. That's probably what happened. Because it's too easy. Because if we just bred, like we're already overpopulated. Not really, but I mean, if you wanted to look at us compared to any other animal, the balance is way off. There's way more of us than there are of them. We're everywhere. We're on every fucking part of the country, every part of the world.
Some primates do have one.
Which ones?
It's not us.
Oh, we got robbed.
The cool ones.
Gorilla.
It says gorilla and chimpanzees.
the baculum of the dog's penis.
Did you watch that thing yet? The lady who the chimp crazy on HBO.
I
It was
loved
pretty
it.
wild.
Did you say gorillas have them? Gorillas have the bone. So that's exactly what happened.
You do not want to get fucked by a gorilla.
We developed agriculture in cities, and the bone went away because then we would just fuck all day. We would never figure out cities.
Well, it said chimps have them, which are supposed to be our closest.
No houses, no
Yeah,
phones.
that's right.
Where's their
That's
cell
right.
phone? In order to get a cell phone,
Constantly
you got to
jerking
lose the
off
bone.
and throwing shit at each other.
That's like whatever the common ancestor of us and chimps is. That was the split. Was they were like, look, we're going to go in this direction where we build civilization, and the chimps were like, we're going to keep our dick bones. So good luck.
That's exactly what happened. They had a conversation about it.
They're like, I get it. I understand why you want to do it.
The female has one. She has a bone in her clitoris. Damn. Imagine how hard she comes.
Damn.
Wait, there's a clit bone?
Yeah, buddy.
It's connected to the pussy bone.
Well, it probably has to be because all animals that are mammals, they start off as female anyway.
Right.
Right? Like the same process, I think, for primates in that, right? That's why
Oh,
boy
so you're saying me
dogs
and
have
Lewis's penises
nipples.
aren't done yet?
Exactly.
We haven't grown into them?
There is definitely a market for grinding down dick bones and fucking putting them in your drinks or something, like energy drinks.
In
for
China,
sure.
it's probably right up there with tiger bones.
I guarantee it. I guarantee it that they grind dick bones down in certain cultures.
Yeah.
Well, in certain cultures, like they will want to drink rhino tea because it's naughty. You know, they know rhinos are an endangered species, but they cut their fucking horns off just to make tea, and it's supposed to make your dick hard. For real.
It's like a fucking.
I would say just because it's like
so crazy.
It's
sex
because
is
it's naughty.
endangered.
I'm a
and-
naughty boy. I'm gonna serve you some. You know, imagine you go over a guy's house, like, what a fucking house. Look at this guy. You want some fucking rhino horn tea? Wow, you've got the real shit.
It's like,
was
dude, you
looking
want
for
to fuck a
somebody.
dodo bird?
That guy's got a raccoon
A
dick around his neck.
They sell them on.
They sell them.
Yeah.
Oh, I need one.
I was looking for
That is awesome.
For
I
sure.
was looking at that going, yeah.
Tiger
I
penis
need a
soup.
raccoon bone dick.
Yeah, but you don't want a raccoon one. You want a fucking like a big old
wolf.
Yeah,
Big old wolf
dude,
dick.
A wolf dick would rule. A bear dick.
With a nice open shirt.
That's what happened. We were like, I don't need the dick bone. I want to figure out space travel. You can't
like,
figure
all
out
right.
space travel if you have that dick bone.
Yeah, can this
They're
thing
like,
like
it's
go,
one or the
go
other.
away a little bit?
Once
for a
they
little bit?
develop the bulletproof skin, the next thing is going to be a reemergence of the dick bone.
Dick
And
bone starts coming back.
You know who's going to fight against it? Viagra. They're going to be like, fuck you, earn it.
Yeah,
You know?
that would be.
You know?
You'd put a
Viagra
lot
tries
of.
to stop bulletproof skin because of the. Because this thing goes all the way up the ladder. You got to follow the money.
It's going to be a bulletproof dick bone for sure. If you're going to put a dick bone in there, why make it a regular bone? Let's
I like
make
to
one
think
that can't
that, like,
break if a girl gets crazy.
The CEO of Viagra, like as this podcast is out, is in a room somewhere going, they're talking about it on the Joe Rogan Experience, all right? This threatens our entire business model.
Once AI goes live, that's going to be one of the first things we fix. Bring back the dick bone. We've already devolved enough. We realize there's like a limit. You get to the end of the road and civilization has to collapse and start over again. But in the meantime, we're going to need that dick bone back.
That might be the thing that drives the collapse.
Yeah.
Once you get the dick bone, there's no more need for civilization.
No, I think civilization collapses, and then the reemergence of the dick bone becomes a necessity because you have to fuck very quickly because you're getting eaten by animals.
Okay. All right, I get it.
Yeah, and so there's madness, cannibal gangs in the streets, fucking block takeovers times a million.
Juggalos.
Yeah.
Here we go. We're all back. We're right back here.
And you're going to need a dick bone because you have 13 seconds to impregnate your wife and then hope that neither one of you gets eaten on the way to the lake.
You're like, that was my third wife, by the way. So I'll have a fourth one soon.
Bro.
Can you figure, is this the skull of a Wendigo, an evil mythical forest
No,
creature?
it's a mule deer.
Oh.
It's a mule deer. It's just a regular deer.
Did you kill that one?
Yeah, it was the first animal I
They
ever
told
killed.
us you killed the crocodile that's out there.
It's an alligator.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Joe.
That's misgendering
Crocodiles
to
are
Joe.
scary.
I just watched Joe actually get mad at me.
No, I didn't. But crocodiles are like, that's a bigger accomplishment. That's a scarier animal, way scarier.
That is a huge alligator. It's
big ass
That is a
alligator.
massive
Yeah.
beast.
It's a big ass alligator.
Wait, the crocodile is scarier than the alligator?
Yeah, way
Okay.
scarier.
And what is it that makes them
They're
scarier?
way bigger, way more aggressive.
Jay, some of us are here to learn.
We look stupid
Yeah.
now because of that dumbass question, dude.
Oh, they're fucking terrifying, man. If we, they've found a bunch of them in the Everglades in Florida. You know, the same assholes that let loose their fucking pythons. There's a bunch of them have let loose some giant Nile crocodiles.
Oh, was it the guy that he's riding like the fan boat through it, and then all of a sudden, like the ground is more.
Oh, that's a different
alligator
one.
than-
I think that's in Costa Rica. I think that video. I don't think that video is in America. Well, it might actually be a different kind of crocodile. It might be in the Amazon. But I don't believe that's America. But the ones in America, the ones they're spotting, they have like a kill on sight order for them in the Everglades. Because if you have a population of breeding Nile crocodiles in the Everglades, it's over. It's fuck your golf. Like they're hunting
Dude,
people.
kill on sight's a funny thing. If you're unarmed, you just see what out there. They go, well, the government said I got to kill this thing on sight. Like, let's go, motherfucker.
How do you kill an alligator?
You have to shoot it. How many to date have they killed in the Everglades? Because they've spotted, it's more than 4, I think. So the problem is they don't look through much of the Everglades. It's too crazy. It's so thick. The whole middle of Florida is like, Florida's the dick of the country, and that dick is infested with monster soup. The inside is just pythons, and fucking crocodiles and alligators everywhere, and there's no mammals left. Like 90% of the mammals in the Everglades are gone.
The crocodiles just fucking
No,
off?
No, the pythons.
The
The pythons
snakes got
have killed
'em. Yeah.
everything.
All
Pythons
right.
have killed everything.
And that's just like very recent.
Yes.
Right?
Pythons are killing alligators. They eat alligators.
Jesus.
American crocs, it says when I look it up. But
No.
crocs,
Nile crocodiles
Yeah.
in Everglades for sure. I was watching a news thing. Nile crocs and yeah, there it is.
Wow.
That's something on Reddit. Yeah.
10 years.
So 10 years ago, someone called it. There's been more than one though. I think
just
there's
watched
been 4 different ones that they've caught.
I don't know how my algorithm got this, but it was like if you ever get attacked by it must have been a crocodile. Maybe it was an alligator, but they told you what to do.
You ain't
Can I
doing
guess?
shit.
You punch it in the nose and put it through its
No, you
brain
gotta
like
start
Apollo
rolling.
Creed.
It's always, by the way, step 1 is always stay calm.
Yeah, no.
First thing you want to do.
Do I play dead? Do I act big? What do I do?
Hilarious. Stay
No, you
calm.
got to roll with it because it's going to try to roll you, right?
Uh-huh.
And then if you have an opportunity, play dead because then it'll think you're dead. Or it said punch it in its nose, which is the funniest
I was
thing.
right.
These are all
I would say
ridiculous.
tickle
Jam
it.
its eyes.
All of it's hilarious. You ain't
Tickle
doing
it.
shit.
Try tickling it different places.
You ain't doing shit. My friend Jim Shockey.
You don't know that, Joe. I might be able to tickle a fucking alligator.
My friend Jim Shockey got sent to Africa to hunt them because they were killing these people in this village. Everybody in the village was like missing a hand. They all had like bites taken out of them. These crocodiles were like targeting these people like they were food. And so they brought in this professional hunter. This guy was a friend of mine, Jim Shockey, and he went to Africa and shot these crocodiles.
Jeez.
And while he was there, one of the ladies got taken. One of the ladies was washing clothes in the river, and they just fucking snatched out. And
Maybe
grabbed her.
don't wash clothes in the river.
But this is how crazy it is. They develop like a system where they stick logs in the ground in like this circular area because they think the crocodiles can't come through it. But I think the crocodiles are figuring out how to go on the ground when everyone's sleeping and slip right into that and wait.
Don't lions do that shit in Africa too? Like they really hunt humans,
Oh,
right?
they
They'll
have.
really like plan it out and shit.
Did you ever see that
They
Val
have,
Kilmer
they have
movie?
people whistles. They go, sup, dude? Sup, dude?
No, it'd be like,
You know,
who
is there
wants
people
some
out there?
pussy? Who wants some pussy? I got wild pussy in the woods.
Are you guys hearing that? I'm gonna go check this out real quick. I'll be right
guys,
back.
I gotta take a leak.
I'm horny.
I want to suck your dick.
Why doesn't the alien, the predator, like the guy who comes down and fucks people up, why doesn't he hunt us that way with calls?
really?
Wouldn't that be more exciting for him?
Yeah.
Instead of just running people down and fucking taking their heads.
That is
Hey,
hilarious.
mercenary.
might
Hey,
trick 'em.
mercenaries.
We
Why
literally
don't you
hunt
take a little
animals
time off
by
and
getting them
get your
horny
dick
first.
sucked?
Trick them into going on a wellness retreat. Set it up like a deer blind, like a wellness retreat.
Yeah, dude. If you're a duck, you think you're about to get laid, and you fucking just get blasted in the head.
Well, they think
That's
it's
the
a
worst.
safe place to land. It's even more despicable. They take rubber ducks and they put them everywhere. Like, oh, it's a party, duck party. Everybody's happy. And then you come in and just imagine being a duck and just getting blasted out of the sky. Like, how?
Yeah, that sucks.
I thought I had to worry about dogs and things like that. I didn't think I'd worried about getting blasted out of the fucking sky.
Duck is delicious, though.
It is.
It's delicious meat. Yeah.
And it's probably fun to blast them out of the sky. I haven't done that particular activity, but I bet it's a good time. Just fucking pop the hatch, boom, 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 and then you cook them up that night. Nice.
Yeah, it's got to be a lot of fun.
But you got to be careful you don't eat buckshot. That's a real issue because you don't always get all the little BBs because a shotgun, when you shoot it up there, it's a scatter. That's how you can shoot birds at a
Not for the
distance.
migrants, dude. They just grab them, break their neck, and cook them up.
That's the better way
No
to do it,
buckshot.
really.
Yeah, no buckshot needed.
No buckshot needed.
Get those bitch-ass domesticated ducks that are subject to grabbing. Those park ducks, they don't know any better yet.
Just oh yeah, I don't. Yeah, I assume you can't just eat like lake duck.
You could.
Can you?
Yeah,
I mean,
you
I'm
could.
sure you could eat them. I'm saying, is that like, is there any kind of good? It doesn't taste.
Like when I go to the
No,
I get
it'd be good.
Peking
You
duck, is that the same duck that you just see in like Central Park?
There's different kinds of ducks. Some ducks are called diver ducks, and those are the least appetizing because diver ducks go all the way down to the bottom of the where the ground is, the bottom of the lake, and they eat all the algae and all the bullshit and like anything that's down there. They eat anything. They eat dead fish and all kinds of rotten things. And the idea is that they're not very tasty. But the other ducks, there's like mallards and different ducks that like people hunt. They don't dive. You know, they eat things that are like on the surface. They don't go down and eat the muck. But I've had diver duck that was really well prepared by a chef. This guy owns Dai Due in town. It's an amazing restaurant. And he cooked it fantastic. It was awesome.
And this is the ones who eat all the bad shit, but it still tastes good?
You could still do it right. It's just an involved process. You know, like he brined them and did a bunch of different things and marinated them, but ultimately you can eat them. But I think like a regular duck, the kind that are like sitting on the pond, you could snatch one of those up. I bet it would be just like a regular duck that you would shoot out of the sky. It's just a duck.
Well, fellas, we know what we're doing after this.
Well,
I mean, if you came from a country where there's no food and all of a sudden they flew you into Ohio, and like, why are we all here? Like,
And
okay.
no one tells you not to eat the
Right.
ducks.
Right.
There's just ducks there.
Not only that, maybe you don't even speak English. So there's all these signs saying "Don't kill the ducks," and you say, "Oh, look, ducks."
Kill ducks.
Wouldn't
ducks?
Wouldn't you automatically grab a duck if like you came from a place where there was no food?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not blaming the Haitians.
Pekin duck is the most popular duck to eat. Pekin duck meat is known for its mild, satisfying flavor, easily adapts to a number of cuisines. It has a lighter flesh and milder flavor. So
Is it not
So this
Peking?
is a duck. It says Pekin. Peking is a type, but this is like domestic ducks. That's what they're showing here.
Gotcha.
So like if you buy duck in a restaurant, you're not really buying wild duck. You're buying a domesticated duck. But there's wild ducks that taste really good, and there's wild ducks that are a little funky, and those are the ones that they call diver ducks.
Yeah, there's like fish. I remember I went fishing in Puerto Rico. We went deep sea fishing, and there's like certain fish that like they eat, or I guess the bigger the fish were, like they eat like all the algae and stuff off the reef. And I guess if the fish was really big, you had to like throw it back because you can get like really sick.
I think it's the toxins from the fish they eat. They eat stuff off the reef.
Oh, right. You're right about that,
Yeah.
actually. Yes.
Yeah. We caught some barracuda, and they were like, in this area you can keep them, but if you catch them over there, you can't keep them. You can't eat them. It's weird. It's like and especially with like big game species, because there's ones that they just won't eat. It's too risky.
it's pretty wacky. We went fishing on a perch tour this summer, and they caught a fish. And like it looked like he was gonna like, I thought he was gonna like gut the fish right there on the boat. But what he was doing was when you pull them up very fast, like the
gut,
fish,
yeah.
they get like the bends. Mm-hmm. So it looks so violent, but they're actually like, saving the fish. They're gonna throw them back, and they like just like stab them almost like underneath the thing, and like it just like lets the air out, and they're able to live.
Fish get the bends?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Really? Yeah.
The pressure that their body has to be under when they're like 500 feet underwater is insane. And so when they go to the top, their organs like come out through their mouth.
Wow.
It's crazy. So yeah,
They fill up
it
with
looks like
air.
all filled up. So he just like he like let the air out of a balloon, and then the fish started moving again. And he threw them back on the
So
water.
I cooked a lobster once, and you're supposed to put the knife into the back of its head. You're not supposed to just boil it, but I couldn't do it. I was like, there's no way.
That's what it looks like. The guy's
Oh.
eyeballs pop out and his tongue pops out. I've seen that happen.
Looks kind of like Ari.
It's very bizarre. A lot like Ari.
It looks like a wacky like a card you'd get at Spencer's.
Isn't there a fish called a Jewfish? There is, right?
That's gefilte fish.
Yeah. But that's I mean, imagine what that does to your body, going from 500 feet down in the fucking ocean to pulling up to the top. Everything just pops out.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun.
Why isn't that not the case? That's probably exactly what would happen if you went to the moon, took your helmet off.
Well, we've never really gone. So
That's what
we
Total
don't know.
Recall said happens on Mars.
Jewfish.
Jewfish. There you go. There's an
Overpopulation. There we go.
Do you think the other
Well,
fish?
keep up the Hitler fish, please.
It's a Goliath? That's
Some
what it is?
solutions.
There's only one person who's gonna.
Goliath group.
Only one fish can get to the bottom of this problem.
Do they have a disproportionate control of the fish media? I'm just wondering.
Is that the
Who's running the
that's
fish banks?
A Jewfish is a Goliath
Yeah,
grouper?
when I popped it into Google, it says Atlantic Goliath grouper.
Whoa, let me see that motherfucker.
Well, hello.
I'm here for your rent
Jesus
money.
Christ. Look at that picture with the
Give
diver.
me your rent money.
Look at that picture with the diver. That's fucking insane. That's
Wow.
like a largemouth bass that could eat a person.
If I saw that, I would think that I was about to be murdered.
I would not be comfortable with that thing being right next to me.
I would
That's
think
a
that I
giant
shrunk.
predator.
Am I inside of a small fish tank?
Bro, if you were a little kid, if you were a 4-year-old kid and you went diving, free diving near that, there's a real likelihood that thing swallows you.
800 pounds.
800 pounds.
Oh yeah, Jewfish eating your
What?
baby. Let's spread that rumor.
You ever seen largemouth bass take out a duckling?
No, but I want to now.
They take them out. They take out birds. There's a guy that was developing a lure for there's a giant pike called a muskie. They're notoriously hard to catch, and they're enormous, like real ancient fish. Looks like a monster, and they're hard to catch. They call them like the fish of 10,000 casts. And so this guy developed a lure for them that's a duck. It's a little ducky moving across the water. It's very effective.
go
'cause
for
these
it?
Muskies like to fuck up ducks.
Jeez.
They're huge, dude. They're like this big. You ever
what-
seen one?
No, I don't think so.
Pull up a
Looks like
photo.
they've got one on right here.
Oh, there it is. No, that's a largemouth bass. But Google muskie, giant. Just Google giant muskie. That's them.
Wow.
Wow.
Look at that thing. Those fucking things are crazy, and they're super predators.
Yeah, that's
They
scary.
take out ducks and all kinds of things. And if you want to catch them, you have to have a big ass lure. Look at that. Look at the size of their fucking mouth. It's just covered in teeth like a barracuda.
Is there a video of one of these things like eating a duck?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
If you have to catch it, you have to dress like Antifa.
Yeah. Well, you're freezing your dick
Those gets
off.
his weapon.
Those guys are cold as
Choose
fuck.
one more places.
You hit it with a bike lock.
You got to catch those motherfuckers in some cold-ass water, just like northern pike.
Jewfish will not replace us.
Look at this. Giant muskie eats a duck. Here it goes. Come on, baby. Uh-oh.
What an asshole. You
Fake
dick.
this out, cocksucker.
Oh, I thought that was it.
This
That was
is
solid, though.
Muskie!
It was a
wasn't bad.
solid bit.
okay. Muskie eats duck. Got to sit through an ad. Okay. Is this a duck lure? Yeah. Unless he's got a duck with a hook through it, that monster. Isn't that fucked up? Like, you hate mice. You kill mice with a mouse trap, but if you went fishing with a mice and a hook, people would, oh, you piece of shit. What is wrong with
Well, they
you?
do
Yeah,
with
that is
other
kinda
fish. You
weird.
do like live bait, right? You put it right through their eyes.
Right, but if you did that to a mouse, everybody would get very upset with you. You
Not me.
piece of shit. Isn't that crazy? Like, you can kill them with a spring. Whack! And everybody's like, oh, yeah, mousetrap? Good job.
And it's not like
You
that's a
can-
humane way to kill them.
You can torture a
You
mouse
kill 'em with
for
a
all I
glue
care.
trap.
I got lost on a YouTube journey once with a guy who made homemade mouse traps, and he would like create little systems to drown mice and rats in buckets.
Yeah.
It was great.
Oh yeah, they like, get like sent to like a bucket.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
Was that
That's
it?
crazy.
That was
That was a little
That
bait-
is a
little-
crazy. That's New York, right?
Yeah.
His system of mice and rats, and it just catches them and puts them in the buckets to drown. And then the guy's at the end of the month, he just has like a buckets of mice, and it's so crazy.
You guys see that Netflix documentary, Rats?
No.
No,
It's all about rats in New York City, rats all over the country, and
No, I
rats
wouldn't
all over the
watch
world.
that.
Oh, it's fucking horrible. I think the biomass of rats in New York City is equal or greater to the biomass of human beings.
oh yeah.
There are so
sure.
many rats in
Oh,
New York
probably
City,
more.
dude. There's
You know
so
how nuts
many.
that is? Think about how many people are walking on the street and think about the idea that the number of rats is greater.
But
Well, I
any-
measure people in rats.
Do you know that
Lewis
rats
is
eat
about- Lewis is
cockroaches
a
and
45
cockroaches
rat.
eat rat shit? Do you know how horrible the entire underneath New York City is?
Oh, this
fucking
this
awful,
is
dude.
a bullshit estimate. This is an estimate that there are approximately 3 million rats in New York City, which is close to a third of the city's human population.
way more.
It's a 50% increase from a decade ago. This is the AI overview.
Although we do have a rat czar now, so maybe she's doing her shit.
I think the documentary was saying that here it is right here. There are 8.2 million humans, average mass of 70 kilograms, about 2 million rats. That is not true. There's not two. Who
Keeps
knows
going
how
down.
many?
Yeah.
Like one said there's 2 million. One said there's
What's gonna
3
be? What's gonna be
million.
not safe for work? Is this
Here is-
a girl saying it with her pussy?
deleted, I think, so it's not here.
It got deleted. Oh, there's no good measurement of how many rats there are.
Yeah, there's not like a guy going down there who's like, everybody hold still, 14, 15.
How would you possibly know?
Six.
You cannot. They're just justifying their job, just like the people in the homeless commission. There's no fucking way you can tell me how many rats there are in New York City.
No, there's no fucking.
I
way.
parked my car once. It was back in the day when you had to use cell phones or pay phones rather. And I was pumping gas. It was in the Bronx, and I went over to this payphone, and I'm on the payphone, and I'm watching rats jump onto the wheel of my car, jump into the engine bay, jump all around it. They were coming out of the sewer and jumping on the car. It was.
That's why I started
2 minutes on the phone, going, "What the fuck?"
I didn't realize until I lived in the city what a problem that is. Rats will go inside you. If you leave your car like sitting for days at a time, rats will get inside and like chew like wires and fucking like fuck your car. It's crazy.
So it says for over 100 years, nearly everyone has believed New York is about 8 million rats, a ratio of 1 human to 1 rat. The theory began in the 1900s when author and rat expert W.R. Boulter hypothesized that in England there was a ratio of 1 human to 1 rat. However, Auerbach points out that the hypothesis was erroneously applied to New York City and is widely quoted to this day. Many expert has debunked. You know what? I lost a lot of faith in experts over the last few years. I'd like to see some fucking data. You know, it's actually 36 humans to 1 rat. I don't know about that. I don't think you know that. I don't think you know.
I mean, under the grounds, like, how do you possibly know? The entire subway systems, they're full of fucking rats.
Didn't it say after that, Jamie, someone said it's 1 to 1? What did it say?
It said in 1950 the New York City Health Department went back to 1 to 1.
Okay. That's probably more accurate, and it's probably even worse now. There's no fucking way you know. The tunnels, it's all filled.
Oh, dude,
rats are everywhere.
In the city, and we all, lived in the city for years and years, but Jay still does. But there'll be, every now and then, there'll just be like a block where there's like construction or something like that. Like there's something open in the ground, and sometimes you just have to walk through it, and you just have to like stomp your way through it because there's just rats everywhere. It's the fucking worst, dude. It's like, it feels like your skin is like, oh, dude.
I've never
awful.
seen it with rats before, but I will say, and I found out what it was after, but talk about a first time New York thing happening was I was just outside smoking a cigarette on my stoop when I was in the East Village, and all of a sudden I was like, that's weird. 3 roaches walking by in the daylight for like, that's kind of weird. You don't see that a lot. Just like, it's like 3 different times, 3 different roaches. I'm like, that's pretty strange. And then several more, and then I'm telling you, within 5 minutes, falling off the buildings. Our superintendent came out and he was like, "What's going on?" And then we saw him like landing on his shoulder. He was freaking out. And then we went inside, came out a couple hours later, and there was thousands of them dead on the street. And I go, "What happened?" He goes, "Oh, that's what they do in New York. Whenever they like bomb a building for like roaches, it just shoots them to other buildings. They just come out." So that's what it was. He goes, "Oh, one building. They're probably trying to sell a building, so they bombed it for roaches, and it just sends tens of thousands of them out onto the streets, probably millions." I mean, when I was saying like it wasn't, you couldn't take a step and not be stepping on like the carcasses of like 50 of them, but they just
Dude,
were they like the water bugs, the big ones
in New York?
That's
dude?
the ones Jay's talking about.
Yeah.
The water ones.
They're the most disgusting creature in the world. Those water bugs in New York City. That's what we used to call them.
You like, oh, ew, it's crawling, and then all of a sudden it just takes flight and comes at you. You're like, whoa.
And it's like 1 month a year that they actually fly, but when they do, man, they just become the grossest thing.
If you want to live in a big city, that's just part of the program.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can't get rid of them. Can't get rid of the rats either. It's not like anyone's incompetent. It's too deep. You would have to move out.
It's our job to go. Let the rats have it.
Yeah, you'd have to move out and then nuke it from space.
Well, there's all types of, like, I live out in the country now, and there's all types of animals that I don't love that are around, but nothing's gross like that. Like, it's like, there's like a bobcat that we've caught on our camera a few times. I'm like, I don't really want that thing around. But
They're
it's
kinda
not
cool, though.
Yeah, it's cool. It's not like disgusting. It's
There's
just
some
like,
gross animals. I live a little closer to the city in Jersey. I get some gross animals too. We had those. What are the things?
You're one of them.
Yeah, Puerto Ricans. What are the things that was like a big problem in New York last summer?
Black Lives Matter riots.
The bugs?
Yeah.
Oh, they're still there. They're
lanternflies.
They're back this year. Lanternflies.
Oh, yeah, the lanternflies.
What are those?
Invasive. So it came over in a.
So in 2020, in the summer of 2020,
Illegal
I started
immigrant
seeing,
flies.
they're being
it
funded
happened.
by
They
the
brought-
UN. I'll tell you that much.
They were brought over. They were doing work on the High Line.
But I know they said in the summer of 2020 we started seeing these little bugs we had never seen before, and they said
They're
you're
almost
supposed
kinda
to kill it.
pretty. You're almost
they said
kinda
you're
pretty when you
supposed
see
to
them.
kill it if you see it. And immediately we were like, I don't work for you, government. I'm not going around killing your bugs. And then by the next summer, there was like 10 times as many. And the next summer there were like 10
They would
times as
land
many.
on you.
And
They're like
just,
red. They look like moths with like a red underbelly or something.
kind of. Yeah, they're like a little red. They're almost kind of pretty looking until there's a bunch of them and they kind of fly on
at first
you.
when I saw them, I thought they were like beautiful little butterflies, and I was like, oh, they're nice. And then I heard that they were a problem, and then they skeeved me out like roaches immediately.
They fuck up plants, but they came over. The High Line in New York was doing something. They brought in plants from China, and they came in years
Is that
ago.
why?
Yeah. So they came in through the docks and these plants from China, and now it's just
They're
are
everywhere.
there, and it's crazy. It's about a month and a half. They are like the roof of my building.
You
like,
could probably pull that
you
up,
can't-
Jamie, like New
you
York
can't
City
go on the roof.
lanternflies.
Like you can't go on the roof of my building. Like there's same thing, like tens of thousands of them all over there. There was a lady up there one time. I walked up there, covered in them like fucking Candyman. It was, it was fucking crazy.
They were coming out of her mouth.
It was
my
crazy. She was
God.
accepting it. I was like, oh god.
She was accepting
But
it.
they're evolving too in the fact that the first year that I was
Yep,
aware
that's
of them,
them.
the first year I was aware of them, you could step on them and they didn't really do much. Now they fly and they run around. And
No,
if you
yeah, they'll be in like
if you leave
doorways
your-
all over the place.
If you have no screen on your window, if you open a window and there will be 100 of them in a room.
Oh my god, that's so disgusting.
It was only like this for like 2 weeks last summer, but there were 2 weeks where my yard was unusable.
Yeah.
Like you
Oh
just
my
could not go out.
It's about a
Couldn't
month.
go
And
out.
what are the
about a
ones
month.
that come up every like however many years they come up out of the ground and
Locusts.
No,
Cicadas.
they
Cicadas.
Cicadas.
Yeah.
That's in Jersey as well. Like
Cicadas are cool though. They make cool sounds.
they make really
They do
cool
make
sounds,
cool
except
sounds,
you
yeah.
find they're like carcasses, like the hollowed out carcasses of
right.
their bodies all
but
over the
they're
place.
not trying to run through your bathroom.
No.
No, and these things are
What did that lady say?
they're killing all like plants and stuff too.
Yeah.
So it's really bad. But they're like, if you read one article, it's like, here's New York's 5-year plan to get rid of the lanternflies, and then the next article's like, no, they're just here. Like
Yeah.
this is going to be a
And
month
they
every
came
year.
from where? Where were they
China.
from? Wow.
China got us twice.
And they land on you. They're not afraid.
That's it. 2 strikes, China. Don't you try this shit
They're
again.
not
Did they
afraid
come
of you
over-
either. Do they land right on your face, on your head, on your body?
Great. Did they come over in some sort of a cargo ship or something?
Yeah,
I think
it was in plants that they were bringing
I'm
decorative
pretty
plants.
sure Fauci made them.
Dump it
Wow.
out.
They're pretty cool looking. Maybe they can vaccinate us that way. Genetically engineer mosquitoes to run
Just a
around
complete
vaccinating
nuisance.
people.
They would do this thing in my old place. We used to like we'd have like there's like a sliding glass door, and we'd have just like the screen open, and it was like in the weeks where it was bad, every 10 minutes you'd look over there, and there's like 4 of them on there, and then you'd hit the screen, and they kind of fly off, but then they just fly right back. And if you like left the room and came back, you'd come back and there's 50 of them like on your screen. It's just gross. Yeah, it's not fun.
I'm a real chick when it comes to bugs and creepy things. And
You're
fucking-
normal.
Yeah.
People who like bugs are weird.
They are weird.
Yeah. People keep bugs in their house. Like, look,
that's
it's a tarantula. I'm going to feed it a mouse. You fucking psychopath.
Oh yeah,
fuck is
anything
wrong with you?
anything icky is not my thing. So I went home with a girl years ago from a diner.
Turns out she was a
Just-
tarantula.
She was a tarantula.
Pet
No,
snake.
it was weird pets, and in the final straw before I left, we didn't hook up because when she was like, "Oh, you got to let my albino rat crawl on you," and I was like, "I'm just gonna go. Like this is not worth it."
I had a buddy who hooked up with this girl, and she had a crocodile monitor. She had a crocodile monitor in her house. It's a pet. You can keep it as a pet.
Wait, what is it?
It's a crocodile monitor. It's the creepiest looking lizard that you could buy from an
Monitor
exotic
lizard,
pet
yeah.
store. You could buy them. You could have that. This
Oh, yeah.
this girl apparently had that. And he was like, "Yo, red flag."
Yeah, the girl I lost my virginity to had an iguana that I hated.
This lady thought she was on Games of Thrones. She had her own dragon. She
Well,
lived with
you said you watched that chimp crazy thing.
Yeah.
It's lonely old women can throw heartfelt emotion into anything in the world.
Yeah, women are caregivers.
What is
A
the?
lot of women
they
are, at
they get
least.
chimps.
They wanted to keep these chimps and raise them. This lady, this fucking chimp, attacked her friend, tore her face off.
Oh, is that
and
the
she's-
911 call?
Yeah,
Different-
one
the
of them,
documentary is
one of
not
many.
about that lady, but they talk about that
Oh
situation.
my God, that one
And
is
then
horrifying.
The point is that lady got a chimp after that.
Another
She
one.
missed having her chimp. Even
They're cool.
It got murdered.
I went to that the Doc Annals place down in Myrtle Beach with my son. It's like one of the. It was in the
guy from
Tiger
Tiger King, yeah.
Tiger King documentary.
Yeah.
But they didn't just have tigers. They had like the baby tigers, which was awesome. But they had like chimps that came out, and they had like it was a really really cool experience.
Hutus. They had some Hutus and what
Super
Tutsis.
educational. Yeah,
No, it was definitely they were torturing these animals, but it was definitely worth the $500 I spent to get in.
Nice.
they castrate those chimps too. Most of them. That one in Connecticut though they didn't.
The mind blowing thing was
Is that part of why he like?
Oh yeah, yeah.
tore the
They're
woman's
way
face
more
up?
aggressive. They're not castrated. I had the guys on, the guys who made the documentary
Oh.
or the show.
that chimp crazy thing. I was blown away actually by how much stuff. I mean, like, she made them weirdly self-sufficient on something. When she threw them McNuggets, it wasn't that you open the McNuggets, then they throw them. She goes, "Oh, and here's your sauce, like a sweet and sour sauce." And the monkey knows how to go like rip the lid off and like dink. It's
no,
pretty
they
wacky.
weren't dipping it though. I kept asking them, I'm like, did they dip? Like, why didn't you show that they dipped? Like, they just drank that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because there's a weird line there. It's like if they dip, you're almost like maybe they deserve rights. I don't know. Like if you go, I'm not gonna have a dry nugget. I'm not
They
like some
crack
barbecue
sodas
sauce.
and drink them.
Yep.
They don't just like bite the top off of a like
they
a
listen
soda
to things too. She could say, "Grab that paper," and he'll grab the paper and give it back to her. Give her the garbage when she give him McNuggets and shit. But she has to keep him in a cage because he's a male. He's a grown male, and they'll just go crazy and just rip your face off. And there's nothing you can do about it.
They
You
were
can
giving the
guess what
chimps.
a person
They were
looks
giving them
like.
Kool-Aid at Doc Annell's place. They were like, and just,
Yeah.
they were chugging the Kool-Aid. These chimps.
Oh,
They were
yeah.
fucking. They loved it. And they were really scared, dude. They came down. They and they were like,
You weren't at all, but I just thought you were about to make a really racist joke. Like I
No,
was just
no,
preparing
I'm being
for it.
real.
You're
I'm
like,
100%.
you're like they love Kool-Aid. You're like easy, Willis.
They love
Come
Kool-Aid.
on, man.
No, but like they came down and they were just so like kind of like walking around us. They were full. So they were like 6 feet tall. It was fucking, dude.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, they were. They could.
So they were full-grown chimps.
They were full-grown chimps, and they just felt at any moment that they could just lose their shit and just take over.
If they just wanted to at any moment, they could just attack you. Then that's what. You ever see that one where the guy was like with his bear? He had a trained bear. And he had this guy stand still, and the guy's just standing still, and the bear just decides to rip his neck off, just out of nowhere.
I don't. I'm thinking of the one. Was that the,
The one
one
with the- the
on
one
a,
with the karate.
on a
You have a
TV
joke.
show?
You have a joke about it,
That was
right, Joe?
it was
From
a
back
bear.
in the day.
Yeah, but that's a different one. That's a different one.
that's
That's
a
the
great
karate.
joke.
The guy
The
with
Karate
karate
Gi,
gi.
yeah.
This is different. This is a guy who's just standing there, and it's a bear that was in a bunch of movies. It was a bear that was like a trained bear, and this bear out of nowhere just decides to rip this guy's throat apart.
What kind of bear?
A grizzly.
Okay, those are the. Because what do I got in Jersey by me? It's the
Black bears.
black bears.
Black bears.
They're
They
not as.
still kill people.
Oh yeah.
They
No,
also
they're
love
terrifying.
Kool-Aid.
They killed a kid at Rutgers.
It is,
Is
so
that-
funny.
is that
that
right?
when-
Jeez.
when someone has to scream though, like the name they give like chimpanzees and stuff, like Mr. Mittens, please God, stop burning your face off.
He's biting her fingers off. Mr. Man.
Well, it's a funny thing because especially like little kids, like they all of their like stories and shows, and it's all like nature personified and things like that. Like I remember like my daughter when she was like 3 asking me why like bugs are running away from her. Like she's like, why is the spider running away or whatever it is? And it's like,
you're white,
'cause-
honey.
it's like, well, you know, he thinks you're going to kill it because you might actually kill it. But then you almost bears, especially the young ones, look so fucking cute. Like you just look at them and
If
you're
you
like,
see
oh my
a bear
god.
cub, you're dead already.
Tiger cubs
That's
look
it.
cute. It's
It is the-
nature's dirty
Yeah.
trick.
It is the awful thing of it. That's the problem with like they said about like having chimpanzees as pets is like for a while it's totally fine, and then one day it's just not. And that one that ripped the lady's face off. Did you see like that video? They show a video of like they should have known this was kind of going to happen because a kid one time picked up a shoe off the floor that like the monkey wanted. And then he goes over and he's going after him. It looks a little aggressive, but it's still like he's not that big, so it doesn't look that scary. But then when he just makes a move like to grab at the shirt and whatever, and you see like the kid like almost falls over, and he's like, whoa, 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 and they have to like all kind of jump in front of the monkey like over something he's unaware. The guy doesn't even know he did wrong. He just grabbed the shoe off the floor, and the monkey wanted that shoe and didn't know how to tell him.
And
other
he
than
could just
take it.
decide to beat the fuck out of that
Yeah.
little kid, and it doesn't
tear
think
their
there's anything
genitals
wrong
off.
with it.
Right? That's what they do. They tear,
They bite your
tear-
fingers off.
Yeah, they tear your genitals off so you can't procreate anymore.
They'll bite your feet off. Yeah, really
up.
crazy
Yeah,
shit.
don't keep them as
You know what they
pets.
don't do? They don't kill people. Isn't that crazy? They just maim you, just rip you apart. That's what's really nuts.
They don't. They
No,
won't
they don't
kill you though.
people. They don't kill people. There's very few instances of chimpanzees killing people. They kill. These guys were saying they kill people like as far as like little kids get snatched up in Africa. You know, like if you're a child, like a baby, and you're near aggressive, hungry chimpanzees, and you leave the kid alone, they'll steal your kid. There's
That's
been
wild.
instances of them stealing kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they eat monkeys all the time.
That I've seen videos of, which is insane. I think I saw you playing it on the show.
Chimps eating monkeys.
But chimps eating monkeys is like dark.
Well,
the way they
didn't
do
know.
it.
They didn't know they did it until Attenborough went into the woods and he started filming. And then he got this footage of these chimps setting up an ambush on these monkeys, and they rip them apart while they're alive.
Yeah, they torture
so he's
them
like,
to death.
Got them alive, and he's just eating them fucking dick first, just pulling chunks of meat off of them. And they're ripping arms off and handing it to their friends. And you see the.
But it's
look
just
on this
because
monkey's
we're
face.
so related to them, it's so much more gruesome. But like, I watch like Nature is Metal. It's a great follow on Instagram. And I watch a lion like eat a baby out of an antelope's stomach and like just swallow it like a pill. You're like, oh, that's awesome.
Horrible. Komodo dragons are the scariest. They just swallow everything whole. Take a whole goat, just fucking hooves their plate.
All four legs are hanging out of the mouth still. Yeah.
And no
awful.
animals have. There's not a lot of emotion in their faces of those too, like especially lizards. So like they eat a whole goat and then they're just like,
Yeah,
it's like on the next thing.
no highs, no lows.
Yeah.
When you see like a bird,
Even Tim goes, dude, you just ate a fucking goat. Like,
dude, watching a bird eat a mammal is just one of the weird. It just doesn't look like it should happen. So
Right.
like it'll just be like a bird, or it'll be like a seabird, it'll be like a seagull, and it'll like pick up a squirrel and just.
Rats, they kill rats all the time. They
Yeah.
eat them, swallow them whole. There's crazy videos of seagulls swallowing rats whole.
All right, we got to bring the seagulls into Manhattan. We'll figure out the seagull problem next.
Steve, you're running for rats.
Seagulls
are
are going to eat your cat. They're going to eat everything. Once they run out of rats, but they won't.
We'll
but that's
deal with
one of
that
the reasons why the Hollywood Hills aren't filled with rats. It's because of coyotes.
Right.
The more coyotes there are, the less rats.
We one time in I think actually it was the last time that we all did your show together. The three of us did it. And it was back when you were in LA and I was staying in some Airbnb out in the hills, and me and my wife heard, we were literally sleeping at night and we heard, I believe, coyotes attacking a dog. Ooh. And it was like the saddest thing to hear, because you hear them like come up and then it's like 30 seconds of a dog like, and my wife loves dogs. She was like crying and she's like, we have to do something. And I was like, we will be doing nothing but letting this happen.
You can't do it. It's already too late.
Yeah, it's pitch black outside. I was going to go out there with a lantern and be like, oh, get out of here.
What a pussy.
They usually don't kill people. The last time a coyote killed a person on record was there was a Canadian folk singer. She lived in a part of Canada where the coyotes had started eating moose because they were running out of things to eat, and they realized that if they bite on moose's legs, especially like young mooses, they could take them out, and then they could eat them and kill them. So they were going after things. They were accustomed to going after things larger than them.
So they started to learn.
And they killed this lady.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we know female folk singers, they are big.
I don't know if she was big. I don't think she was, in fact. I think she was pretty small.
It might have been an honest mistake. They thought it was a moose. Or like, we're used to this.
And that's how much folk music sucks.
Or they don't give a fuck about you. That's more likely. You live in a place where there's actual bears. Like New Jersey's so bad that the mayor ran on a platform of having the bear hunting be removed. And then once he was in office, he was like, fuck that, start hunting them again.
Yep.
Because there's so many human-bear interact. New Jersey has more bears per capita than anywhere in the lower 48.
Yeah, there's
Really?
Yeah, New Jersey.
New Jersey's got a lot of bears. Yeah, we got a lot of crazy
A lot of
wildlife.
mountains. That's why.
well, because the thing
People
is,
forget about was it Ramapo Mountains? Like it's gets rural as shit.
Rural as shit,
well,
man.
Jersey's
New York as
called
well.
the Garden State,
Yeah.
but everyone, when they think of Jersey, they think of Newark and
Trenton.
Camden.
Or Jersey
and
Shore
Trenton.
became
Yeah.
so big that when you
Yeah.
say Jersey now, you're
think
imagining
of
the
that.
dyed hair and the fucking
Yeah.
fist
Right.
bumping
But
guys.
most of New Jersey
beautiful.
is not anything like that. It's just mountains and woods.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you
A
know,
lot of
mountain
hunting in
people.
Jersey.
Yeah, there's like rednecks in New Jersey.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever
Yeah.
see the movie
Wow.
Out of the Furnace? Like explores that whole thing. It was Christian Bale, Casey Affleck, Willem Dafoe. And
Oh,
it's like-
really?
and Woody Harrelson played the character of like those like mountain people, like just meth trade, cousin fucking. It's like it's really like they make it like a weird place.
Oh,
was
it's
that
weird
in
as fuck,
Pennsylvania
man.
or in
No,
Jersey?
it's Jersey. It's Jersey side. It's actually on the border of it's Ramapo Mountains, I think. Yeah.
Jim Miller, UFC fighter, lives in New Jersey,
Yep.
in like the woods.
Yep.
He lives
Yeah.
in Sparta, New Jersey.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
It's crazy that you would think.
Sparta.
You would think New Jersey. Everybody thinks smog stacks, and
Yeah.
they think it's the smell.
Well, it's like the same way people think of Pennsylvania. They think of Philly and Pittsburgh and shit. But most of Pennsylvania is not. They're not producing Jay Okersons out there. They're
No.
making like, it's you, but you just went in the lumberjack direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's me with a dad that stuck around and really told me how the world worked.
That's where the world gets dark, right? You get born into a spot where there's fucking no way out of here.
Yeah.
You know, you get stuck in the coal mines of West Virginia, and you're like, shit. Like, how do I?
That's why
get
big
out of
cities
here?
like are good because if you live in a big city, there's like people are dreaming and shit. If you're like in the middle of nowhere, it's like,
well, even if you're in the suburb of a big city, you know, like if you're in kind of nowhere, but there's a half-hour bus to like a city where something's happening. But there's people. I remember talking to Jeff Dice, this really brilliant dude. He was Ron Paul's like chief of staff for years. But so where Ron Paul is, it's like 2 hours south of Houston. Lake Jackson, I think, was the name of his district. And he was telling me, he was like, dude, there's nothing here. Like, there's no, like, if you're a kid coming up here, it's like, I don't know, we got an Arby's and we got like some, and that's where so many of those kids join the military because that's like the only thing you could do.
Juggalo.
Or you could, or there's one other option, oft overlooked option, become a juggalo.
Or join a cult.
Join a cult.
You know, that's how you get someone into a cult. It's the best option available. You know, like, hey, did you guys travel? Can I be a missionary? I'm gonna go to Brazil. Fuck it.
He doesn't stop. I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette.
Let's wrap
my
this
eyes
up.
are gonna pop out.
We're like 3.5 hours in.
Oh wow,
boys, it was a lot of fun.
Dude, you're the man, Joe.
Good times.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
I really believe what I said about Skankfest. It's very important. What you guys are doing is very important.
Thank
I know
you.
it seems like fun. It is fun, I'm sure. But
Very fun.
You need things out there that are genuinely open and free and pushing the boundaries of comedy. You know, and Skankfest is a great place for that. So it's important. So I appreciate you guys.
Thank you
and
so much.
There's a live stream event. Lewis, tell everybody
yeah,
about
you
this.
guys, you can still get passes for Sunday, I believe. Or there might be a handful of Fridays left, but we're live streaming it as well. If you guys can't be there live in Las Vegas this weekend, September 27th or 29th, just go to skankfest.com. There's a bunch of events you could actually watch live as we stream them. And yeah, we're just pumped. Thank you.
Get your liver detox pills ready, you fucking animals.
Yeah, everyone's going to party like we've never done before.
Liposomal glutathione. Get that. You're going to need that. All right, gentlemen, appreciate you. Always fun. Good
Thank you,
times.
man.
You're the man, Joe.
You're the man. Bye.